The Palace of Wisdom stood inside Alexa, a human kingdom in the world of Wise Saloon, when bandits suddenly attacked its walls. Terrified priests screamed that the palace knights were useless until someone spotted a strange flag belonging to the mercenary group Elwyn. Merida, the bloodthirsty demon leading the strongest mercenary group of her race, tore through soldiers while Albert watched in stunned silence. She grabbed Albert without warning, praising his cute face and calling him the priest known as the treasured gem of wisdom. Pinned beneath her, Albert wondered why such a busty woman had trapped him, then calmly admitted he had been expecting Lady Merida. In truth, Albert had been reincarnated as Hyakuki Kutaru, and using memories from Japan, he rose to become Alexa's youngest priest. Praised by every official and favored by the king, Albert secretly relied on a numeric skill that revealed anyone's hidden potential. The Palace of Wisdom then declared that Priest Albert had disrespected Prince Orgus and ordered him demoted to a trainee priest. His days of smooth success collapsed in an instant. Though Albert quietly accepted the decree without daring to argue against it, two senior priests scolded him harshly, reminding him coldly of the debt he owed the church for raising him since infancy. The third prince, Orgus Daedalus, mocked him openly, calling the so-called treasure of wisdom nothing more than a complete useless fool. Known across the capital as the Foolish Prince, Orgus abused his royal status while Albert simply lowered his head and apologized. Only 6 months earlier, one of Albert's servants had nearly fallen victim to a prince who trafficked kidnapped women into city brothels. The head priest begged forgiveness, insisting the temple had no involvement, after crushing Albert's appeal and reporting it straight to the prince. Impressed by the bribe he received, the head priest quietly admitted giving Albert's kidnapped servant a few days off from her duties. Soon after, Albert was restrained and sent away, warned to stay careful since the frontier district was said to be full of bandits. There Merida appeared before him, revealing she had heard an interesting story and decided to recruit Albert as her personal strategist. Known as the bloodthirsty demon Merida, she stood as the strongest warrior of the demi-human kingdom, and a former human noble. Albert pleaded that he was merely a priest serving the kingdom of Alexa, though his intelligence could easily make up for her weaknesses. Merida then declared their plan, announcing that being kidnapped and forced to serve would let Albert vanish from Alexa without any loose ends. Alicia rushed to check on Albert while he arrived safely at Elwyn's mercenary base, the group's true operational headquarters. Alicia explained she wore a maid outfit only to save Albert's life, admitting he had once saved hers as well. Albert realized Merida herself had dressed Alicia that way, noting they clearly shared similar tastes when it came to appearances. Albert insisted Alicia remained his important confidant, and Merida cheerfully admitted she was indeed the one who dressed her. Merida teased that rumors about her attraction to beautiful women were true, though she promised she had not tried Alicia yet. Later Merida climbed onto Albert's bed, claiming she originally intended only to make use of his wisdom for her plans. She admitted his calm demeanor pleased her greatly, adding that above everything else his scent felt strangely amazing to her. Alicia entered and confessed. She also felt oddly aroused whenever she smelled him, leaving Albert completely stunned by the confession. Merida declared she would allow no objections and had firmly decided to sample Albert for herself starting immediately that night. Alicia agreed she wanted to devote everything to Albert too, while he awkwardly admitted he had no real objections either. The next morning, Merida teased that Albert clearly knew his way around a woman's body, despite still being fairly young. She then asked why he had originally been banished to the enemy kingdom of Alexa before ending up kidnapped by her. Merida revealed she had refused an arranged fiancé chosen by the Demon King, calling him physically repulsive and utterly unbearable. When he tried touching her, her instincts kicked in and she punched him hard, causing her furious uncle to banish her. Albert realized her uncle meant well but never understood her preferences, while Merida explained the Demon King raised her like family, reflecting quietly. Albert noted Elwyn's strength matched the rumors, and Merida's close bond with the Demon King might help his plan. Albert whispered his strategy, asking whether Merida knew a trusted imperial noble capable of negotiating directly with the Demon King. Merida instantly recalled her sister's husband, Margrave Stefan, and excitedly agreed to begin preparations for the plan immediately afterward. When Albert asked if something felt wrong, Merida instead declared she had firmly decided something important regarding their partnership together. She then asked Albert to support her as her husband, quietly admitting she genuinely liked him beyond their original arrangement. Merida admitted she adored Albert's face, calling them a perfect match physically, though he questioned taking such a role seriously. She confessed only women could ever be her mistresses, wanting to surround herself with beauty while keeping Albert as her only man. She promised she would never allow it without the other woman's consent, and Albert suggested they simply enjoy everything together as one. Albert reasoned that becoming Merida's husband granted him more freedom and authority than remaining beneath her as a mere subordinate. More importantly, he genuinely adored the demon princess, and Alicia excitedly asked if that meant she could love them both. Merida happily agreed everyone could reclaim last night's defeat together, though Albert protested he still needed to finish his letter first. He instructed Merida to gather every mercenary in the square, and 1 week later, a reply finally arrived for him. With preparations complete, Albert stood before the rough mercenaries, uncertain whether he could truly earn their respect and cooperation. The mercenaries teased him for apparently banging all night, admitting jealousy while Albert simply smiled back at their remarks. He casually revealed Alicia was quite the animal in bed too, causing her to protest furiously while the crowd erupted laughing. The mercenaries admitted respect for him, joking that he alone had somehow managed to tame their fearsome demon princess completely. They found it surprising the bloodthirsty princess fell so hard for an ordinary human, though Merida angrily denied being mocked. Believing they were captivated purely by Merida's charm, one mercenary praised the extraordinary bonds within the Elwyn mercenary group. Albert then declared they must seize both the heads and territories of 3 border lords loyal to Alexa's kingdom. He explained that if the Demon King's imperial army acted instead, opportunistic border lords would likely oppose the empire outright. Since they were only mercenaries already active in the field, destroying enemy forces first would leave no room for complaints. The targets were Zura, Zizan, and Benia, notorious lords who oppressed people through heavy taxes, slavery, and constant looting. Albert declared Merida's return and restored status could only be achieved by the elite few within the Elwyn mercenary group. The mercenaries cheered, praising their princess's husband and his brilliant plan, preparing themselves eagerly for the coming battle ahead. Riding forward, Merida led the Elwyn mercenary group into battle, while Albert reflected on his journey from priest to strategist husband. In the kingdom of Alexa's Benia territory, Merida declares to the castle guards that she is seizing their lord's fortress for herself. She silences a mocking mercenary captain with a single punch, then swings her massive blade and shatters the castle's main gate instantly. A knight insists they remain calm since they are safe for now. But the captain is suddenly struck dead by a rock thrown from an impossible distance. Grinning wildly, Merida vows to destroy the small country castle and kill everyone inside, alarming Albert while a knight questions whether that plan is wise. Days earlier at the mercenary camp, Albert sits beside Merida, insisting she listen carefully as he lays out 3 main rules for the upcoming siege. Albert explains there will be no looting, no unnecessary property damage, and no killing of unarmed citizens, with captured goods distributed to the people instead. Merida argues that looting and violence are simply part of war, worrying that enforcing such strict rules on the others will prove difficult. Albert warns that breaking his terms turns their effort into nothing but a broken gift, since this time the castle and its people become an offering to the Demon King instead of Merida. Hearing this, Merida protests that losing her nightly time with Albert as punishment simply isn't fair, though he stays firm on the terms. Merida then orders her mercenaries to follow the 3 simple rules, warning she will personally punish anyone foolish enough to break them during the assault. Merida charges forward, shouting the castle will be theirs, cutting down resisting knights while ordering no harm toward those who surrender. More knights fall beneath her relentless assault as she declares there will be no mercy shown toward anyone still choosing to fight back. A towering knight named Bazam, called the Bear of the Frontier, boasts that he alone will bring about her downfall, dismissing her mercenaries as weaklings. Bazam swings his massive axe, promising to slice her slender body in half, yet Merida blocks the blow without flinching even slightly. Overwhelmed within moments, Bazam collapses from a single devastating strike, leaving Merida unimpressed as she calls the fight boring, and not even a proper warm-up. With the castle city fully suppressed, surrendered soldiers sit detained in the square while the lord and his family remain barricaded inside the manor. Merida storms into the manor, confronting the corpulent lord directly, informing him bluntly that his castle is about to be taken from him. The panicking lord offers money in exchange for mercy, but Merida punches him hard before he can even finish surrendering properly. Afterward, she apologizes, admitting her instincts sometimes take over whenever she encounters fat, bald men before threatening to finally take his head. The lord sneers that reinforcements from Zizan and Zura will save him even if the castle falls, though Merida doubts it since both have already been defeated. Merida greets Albert warmly as he arrives, noting the castle has already fallen while calling him her darling strategist handling the cleanup. Prompted to give her speech again, Merida announces she has gathered every prisoner and valuable, though she admits the whole process feels rather embarrassing. Standing before the citizens, she declares the corrupt lord who exploited them has been defeated by the Irwin mercenary group, asking Albert if her smile looked convincing enough. Piles of confiscated wealth are revealed as the will of the Demon King, promised to be distributed equally among every citizen present. The crowd erupts cheering for the Empire and the Demon King as Merida declares this land will now become imperial territory, silently lamenting the waste. Albert later explains they converted ordinary citizens into loyal imperial supporters without any cost, while collecting wages originally meant for enemy soldiers. Reflecting privately, Albert admits he seriously underestimated the Elwyn group's strength, especially Merida, who surpassed both rumors and his own expectations entirely. 1 week later, Albert stands ready for more hard work as the Alancia Imperial garrison marches in to secure the newly claimed territory. Margrave Stefan von Baleria, a QB tribesman and Merida's brother-in-law, welcomes her home warmly, crediting her success entirely to her husband Albert. Meeting Albert for the first time, Stefan studies him closely, quietly wondering if this unassuming young man is truly Merida's chosen husband. Stefan notes with amusement that Albert nearly killed the fiancé sent by the Demon King, yet Merida still chose someone like him regardless. Despite his friendly demeanor, Stefan privately observes that Albert carries an underlying intimidating presence, with impressively high stats befitting powerful imperial nobility. Merida proudly reports that the liberated citizens are overjoyed at joining the Empire, praising her brother-in-law Albert as truly amazing throughout it all. Traveling onward, they notice the surrounding region recovering well, greeted along the way by cheerful, welcoming locals who seem genuinely relieved. Stefan casually offers Albert a position working for him directly, admitting he never could have imagined such a brilliant strategic plan himself. Merida immediately objects, insisting family or not, nobody is taking her Albert away, while Stefan quietly notes Albert seems the type to overwork subordinates. Stefan then reveals he plans to leave, persuading Lord Preston entirely to Albert. Privately relieved he can finally relax around Merida, a little startled. Albert questions persuading Lord Preston, learning with shock that this man is actually the intimidating head of the Elwyn family and Merida's own uncle. Merida explains she must first reclaim her former territory, Ashray Castle within Elwyn territory, currently governed unlawfully by her uncle, before returning to nobility. She admits even she stands no chance against him, nicknamed the Mad Dog of Elwyn, while Albert nervously recalls his battlefield title, the Crimson-Speared Demon. Merida reassures everyone that Albert, their wise strategist, even managed to outmaneuver the Demon King himself during their earlier dealings. She teases Albert about wearing the sexy underwear he bought her tonight, embarrassed despite herself, while he dreams of living peacefully surrounded by cute women. Albert agrees to act as envoy and persuade her uncle, prompting Merida to hug him joyfully before he heads toward Orgus' residence in Alexa's capital. Prince Orgus complains bitterly about the low-born priest causing trouble again, while his companions rush in questioning what exactly has gone wrong. Orgus reveals that same priest sent another accusing letter to the king, alarming his men who fear their shady business dealings will be exposed. They panic further, realizing a duplicate letter reached Prince Goran, the second prince, having overlooked it since it was addressed to his brother instead. The group scrambles to destroy evidence and return home immediately, only for Orgus to reveal their territories have already been seized by the Empire. His shocked companions are dismissed as mere liabilities, with Orgus explaining demons who attacked the temple seem somehow connected to this unfolding disaster. As guards close in, Orgus orders them to pin all the blame onto his own companions, betraying them without hesitation or remorse. Furious and humiliated, Orgus vows to lay low for a while, swearing he will personally kill Albert and placing a bounty on the priest's head. Within Azure Fortress, Albert presented himself before facing Merida's frightening uncle, Lord Preston personally, sitting assuredly upon Elwyn's seat. Preston blamed Albert controlling Merida and stealing authority completely. Attempting negotiations quietly, Albert evaded Preston's abrupt assault while realizing his overwhelming strength immediately. Without retreating fearfully, Albert vowed reviving Elwyn's status through intellect, leadership, and administration strategies. Continuing assuredly, Albert stated supporting Merida completely while managing Elwyn territory's household matters successfully. After learning Albert's proposal, Preston considered supporting Merida's martial ambitions inside Alancia Empire ultimately. Chuckling boldly, Preston lauded Albert highly while confessing leadership responsibilities exhausted him constantly lately. Trusting Albert's determination entirely, Preston agreed surrendering authority if Merida became a competent leader ultimately. Although honored broadly, Merida remained dreaded throughout Elwyn territory because of her brutal battlefield reputation. Prior to leaving, Preston warned Albert nobody controlled Merida correctly though, admiring her overwhelming strength deeply. Albert allowed Preston's invitation while Elwyn fighters celebrated Marida's rising martial achievements proudly. During festivities, Marida drank deeply while Preston encouraged Albert entering family banquet celebrations enthusiastically. Shortly, Albert met Freya and Rather, Merida's kin, asking about his unexpected relationship nervously. Although lower-ranked nobles, Freya and Rather greeted Albert kindly while talking about family responsibilities jointly. By night, Albert rested beside Merida's relatives, savoring alcohol and strengthening important family ties. During festivities, Rathor declared the Demon Tribe strength competition before everyone assembled excitedly nearby Albert. Rathor stated Albert the competition's participant, stunning him because nobody mentioned dangerous customs earlier. Merida confirmed Demon Tribe customs demanded outsiders showing strength through combat, leaving Albert nervous. Although Merida vowed nobody would die, Albert concerned brutal contests still caused common wounds. Albert objected risking people during competitions, but Merida lauded his secret abilities and intelligence confidently. Albert paused nervously while Rather encouraged selecting any competition format allowed by demon traditions. Rather explained demon contests enabled unrestricted methods, prompting Albert's strange strategic competition proposal suddenly. Albert presented a peaceful board game competition rather of combat, startling everyone attending greatly. Although puzzled at first, Rather accepted Albert's clever challenge because Fiends Honored declared competition terms. Marida furiously realized Albert included her inside participation while local fiends questioned her hesitation. Marida confidently allowed Albert's strange competition while Rather readied seriously beside uneasy participants jointly. Alicia declared the written challenge topic aloud while Demon Tribe people prepared parchment immediately. Marida and Rather labored, written carefully, because intense concentration caused unexpected physical exhaustion swiftly nearby. Although demon fighters managed fights easily, detailed written tasks created painful concentration difficulties constantly. While Albert completed effortlessly first, Alicia observed stunned as exhausted demon participants collapsed nearby. Marida, Rather, and Freya labored badly while Albert observed weary participants local afterward. After Albert's simple success, Demon Tribe people respected his strange intelligence and abilities completely. Freya furiously assaulted Rather, blaming his silly decisions creating humiliation during Albert's competition recently. Albert stopped peacefully while Freya protected herself nervously against Rather's severe accusations afterward nearby. Rather faulted Freya entirely afterward, but each received punishment for breaking fortress regulations. Albert created strict punishment terms making Demon Tribe people practice discipline through reflection room penalties. Later, Albert stated Ashley Castle's financial importance while introducing territorial governance strategies closely. Marida, Freya, and Rather boldly protected Ashley Fortress because their combat might lock trade territories. After assuming governance tasks, Albert questioned Preston regarding levy records, creating confusion during discussions. Preston lightly admitted ignoring financial documentation entirely, stunning Albert while revealing serious governance problems. Preston presented martial files rather of financial ledgers, confusing Albert during governance discussions completely afterward. Albert lamented expecting administrative abilities from Demon Tribe people while readying financial files independently. Asking about treasury conditions, Albert heard Preston explain wars and expenses lowered available riches significantly. Albert instantly entered Ashley Castle's treasury, demanding soldiers open locked storage rooms carefully afterward. Within treasury rooms, Albert discovered vacant racks, realizing demon governance remained disastrously irresponsible completely. Merida proudly trained inside Ashley Castle while Albert carefully checked newly stamped territorial administration documents. After training ended, Merida happily celebrated freedom until Albert reminded her unfinished paperwork remained waiting. Endless administrative reports overwhelmed Merida quickly, while Albert strictly explained important territorial sealing regulations carefully. Frustrated by exhausting duties, Merida accused Albert of enjoying her suffering during administrative responsibilities inside. Before dinner preparations, Alicia quietly teased Albert regarding Merida's growing attachment and emotional reactions recently. Alicia questioned Ashley Castle finances, while Albert revealed reserves barely supported maintenance expenses. Reviewing salaries carefully, Albert discovered excessive retainers and careless management damaged regional stability recently. Empty treasury rooms forced Albert reducing spending while reorganizing Ashley Castle's domestic affairs carefully. Exhausted from calculations, Albert encouraged Alicia strengthening valuable intelligence networks across nearby territories continuously. Latter hidden food reserves inside Ashley Castle relieved Albert's concerns regarding future shortages. Inside Ashley Castle, Albert discovered Melvis possessed exceptional administrative talent, despite serving as warehouse keeper. Seeking assistance, Albert questioned Melvis carefully regarding priorities, strengthening the struggling Elwyn territory successfully. Melvis recommended improving ledgers and maintaining prosperous lands to ensure long-term regional stability carefully. Impressed by Melvis's intelligence, Albert invited him becoming official strategist for the Elwyn family immediately. To secure loyalty, Albert granted authority, increased salary, and control over internal administration completely. Melvis accepted Albert's proposal seriously. Understanding reforms demanded difficult sacrifices and exhausting responsibilities ahead. After organizing merchant contacts, Albert prepared unusual warehouse transportation competition for the Demon Tribe. Marta Preston and Rather confidently joined exercises, believing victory guaranteed prestigious vanguard battle positions. Under Albert's instructions, participants transported colored cargo boxes throughout enormous warehouse training grounds carefully. Disguising labor as training, Albert reorganized warehouse inventory while motivating Demon Tribe workers efficiently. Marta's squad gained early advantages while Rather and Preston struggled, carrying massive warehouse cargo. Following heated victory arguments, Alicia prepared meals while workers emptied enormous warehouse shelves. Meanwhile, Albert instructed Melvis carefully planning merchant negotiations after transportation training exercises concluded. Workers separated spoiled supplies efficiently, selling damaged food cheaply while strengthening merchant relationships afterward. Fran admired Albert's practical management methods, supporting commercial expansion throughout Ashley Castle's growing territory. Albert struggled managing schedules alone, while Melvis organized accounts and monitored growing warehouse expenses carefully. Alicia remained hardworking and dependable, although her inability reading documents prevented secretary responsibilities completely. Later, Albert visited merchant leader Renville, hoping solving regional trading problems through negotiations successfully. Renville explained inconsistent measurements caused merchant disputes, forcing businesses throughout Ashley territory suffering financially. Merida proudly introduced standardized measuring equipment, helping merchants trade fairly across Elwyn territory. Albert introduced strict trading regulations, while Renville admired his thoughtful economic management strategies greatly. Renville immediately supported standardized measurements, believing those policies would finally resolve merchant disputes permanently. During celebrations, Irene served drinks gracefully while Albert awkwardly reacted beside Renville nervously. Albert learned Irene possessed exceptional domestic abilities, surpassing her father's impressive administrative talents considerably. Renville recommended Irene joining Elwyn's staff, believing her talents would greatly assist Albert. Renville suggested Irene assisting Albert permanently, believing her abilities perfectly matched administrative responsibilities. Irene gladly accepted employment, hoping supporting Albert and Merida would benefit their family greatly. Albert welcomed Irene warmly, while Merida secretly worried about gaining another romantic rival. During evening preparations, Merida nervously questioned her feelings while Albert accepted Irene's assistance professionally. Irene confidently delivered requested documents, impressing Albert while Merida teased his growing admiration. Albert inspected measurement instruments carefully before leaving administrative duties temporarily for evening training. Castle merchants already followed standardized measurements peacefully, preventing confusion, rebellion, and territorial disputes. Meanwhile, Albert realized corrupt village chiefs manipulated taxation systems, strengthening armies and uprisings. Border skirmishes increased frequently between neighboring territories, causing Albert concerns regarding upcoming warfare. After reviewing reports silently, Albert planned stabilizing internal affairs before conflicts eventually emerged. Smiling confidently afterward, Albert prepared implementing effective rewards alongside punishments throughout territories successfully. Albert entered Northern Region leaders, discussing certified measurements and revised taxation systems closely. Although worried at first, Elwyn representatives admitted earlier collection methods stopped famine during wartime periods. Meanwhile, Albert declared new retainer locations, prioritizing learned human workers managing administrative responsibilities effectively. Though praising Albert openly, the territory chief quietly designed deceiving, inexperienced leadership for gain. Grinning maliciously, the chief thought controlling Albert's trust would remain extremely simple permanently. Albert warned Preston about suspicious issues while quietly readying evidence revealing corrupted taxation practices. Abruptly, Merida's enraged father confronted Preston fiercely, accusing him of deception against Elwyn command. Terrified instantly, Preston listened quietly while Merida's father requested emergency taxes from vulnerable villages. Cornered entirely, Preston vowed collaboration after Merida's father threatened brutal penalty for dishonesty repeatedly. At the same time, Albert quietly observed events local while Merida's father intimidated Preston into immediate obedience. Albert reassured Preston quietly, while Merida's father requested explanations regarding suspicious absent financial files. Enraged instantly, Merida's father condemned Preston harshly, recalling everyone fiends despised corruption and dishonesty. Meanwhile, Albert manipulated Preston closely, encouraging collaboration prior to Merida's father discovered absent village ledgers completely. Nervously trembling, Preston acknowledged confusion while Albert requested immediate fiscal updates concerning village government issues. Furious completely, Merida's father pressured Preston aggressively until terrified officers promised delivering absent documents immediately. 1 week later, Albert received village books successfully, while terrified officers pleaded mercy repeatedly. Grinning assuredly, Albert explained residents surrendered files voluntarily after Preston intimidated suspicious territory leaders. Meanwhile, Preston promised inheritance levy exemptions, making uneasy leaders toward absolute cooperation and loyalty. Irene lauded Albert's smart strategy, while residents feared Elwyn fighters suppressing dangerous territorial rebellions permanently. Careful investigations later showed secret earnings deeply exceeded earlier reports submitted by corrupt village leaders. Elwyn finances recovered after residents repaid taxes correctly while Melvis organized important books entirely. Combined populations increased steadily while uncultivated lands vowed huge coming development across Elwyn territories. At the same time, harvest season neared rapidly, allowing mobilized soldiers preparation for possible coming disputes. Afterward, Albert paused tasks briefly after Alicia told him Merida requested one more important meeting. Abruptly, urgent Empire reports arrived surprisingly, making Albert toward immediate territorial decisions afterward. Albert received reports describing Lord Stefan's territory invasion prior to harvest season formally completed entirely. Weeks prior, Alexa Kingdom officers rejoiced boldly after mobilizing armies toward contested border territories. Prime Minister John informed commanders assuredly, while exhausted nobles labored supporting prolonged martial operations continuously. Ambitious leaders designed reclaiming territories, thinking weakened imperial troops could no longer resist efficiently. Jean requested martial command power later, hoping victories would satisfy Alexa Kingdom rulers forever. Enraged commanders questioned Jean instantly after practice harvest season stopped direct battlefield participation completely. Unwillingly obeying orders, Jean departed toward Tiana while commanders requested immediate regional invasions elsewhere simultaneously. Alone later, enraged commanders cursed incompetent officers repeatedly while readying strategies for reclaiming occupied regions. Meanwhile, Albert reviewed suspicious reports closely, anticipating coming victories across reclaimed Empire frontier territories soon. Desperate ultimately, enraged commanders faulted Albert entirely before swearing deadly revenge against each brothers permanently. Albert anticipated victorious armies going back shortly, while Merida enthusiastically readied equipment for approaching dangerous fights. Unfortunately, Albert realized abrupt combat during harvest season completely shattered earlier strategic military expectations. Immediately, Stefan commanded 3,000 soldiers bravely, as Alexa Kingdom troops exceeded 5,000 experienced fighters. Albert dreaded losing region permanently, because harvest shortages weakened defensive arrangements across Elwyn frontier regions. Meanwhile, Orgus assuredly manipulated battlefield circumstances again, while Albert labored understanding unexpected enemy actions entirely. Merida, Preston, and Rather boldly assembled squads prior to Elwyn's nearby battle campaign tomorrow. Albert assigned cavalry wagons closely, avoiding unnecessary commoner soldiers amid dangerous martial operations. Melvis concerned deeply about numerical disadvantages, but Albert quietly readied practical countermeasures beforehand. Prior to departing, Albert entrusted fortress administration responsibilities entirely to Assistant Melvis amid combat. Excited for combat, Merida sharpened her sword keenly while expecting battle victories shortly. Merida launched Elwyn's demon army ahead assuredly as Albert's decisive combat formally began. Alexa Kingdom soldiers worried outside stronghold walls, carelessly provoking dangerous mortal troops approaching. Albert quietly observed everyone's tension, silently welcoming one more ally into his rising strategic family. Lord Stefan questioned Albert's confidence, questioning survival odds while enemy armies continuously advanced ahead. Albert studied battlefield formations closely, seeing stronghold defenses would collapse against coordinated Empire assaults soon. After studying enemy weaknesses, Albert predicted terrified commoner soldiers would ultimately abandon Lord Bedouin's command. Albert quietly released Marida's hunting troops first, readying an ambush before enemy commanders reacted correctly. Rear guard soldiers got odd advance orders, but commanders instantly ignored suspicious battle instructions. Marquise Bazan greedily abandoned defensive tasks, focusing rather on plunder villages and capturing demi-mortal women. Though repeated warnings, Bazan rejected urgent reports while enemy actions rapidly approached his vulnerable rear base. Merida abruptly launched her cavalry assault, frightening Bazan's troops and completely destroying their surviving battlefield morale. Merida's cavalry smashed fleeing soldiers swiftly, spreading panic across Bazan's unprepared defensive base afterward. Prior, Albert stated secret forest routes, allowing militia troops surrounding weaker enemy soldiers successfully. Merida allowed Albert's strategy boldly, believing sacrifices guaranteed success against stronger battlefield troops completely. Albert finalized the operation quietly while Merida and commanders reviewed battlefield locations jointly closely. Bazan's soldiers protected him urgently, but Merida's assault overwhelmed their surviving resistance troops entirely. Merida cut through Bazan's guards readily, pursuing commanders before terrified soldiers rearranged defenses successfully. After seizing enemy locations, Merida encouraged merciless pursuit while frightened Alexa soldiers abandoned formations. Albert's demi-mortal allies hunted retreating troops relentlessly, preventing enemies fleeing toward safer regions later. The crimson-speared demon appeared abruptly, making worried soldiers requesting immediate reinforcement from their vanguard. Meanwhile, Lord Bedouin rejoiced assuredly, unaware Merida's troops already shattered Bazan's collapsing defensive army. Lord Bedouin noticed strange formations, but ordered his army's reckless advance toward combat assuredly. Merida and demi-mortal fighters chased frightened soldiers mercilessly, scattering Alexa troops throughout battlefields. As confusion fueled everywhere, Bedouin forced terrified cavalry forward, though rising panic among soldiers. Albert's secret spear wall activated abruptly, crushing rushing enemies prior to they could retreat safely afterward. Albert lauded Stefan quietly while trapped soldiers worried powerlessly against relentless infantry defending barricades. Trapped soldiers worried entirely, unintentionally killing allies while retreating from Albert's secret defensive formation. Albert observed enemy confusion quietly, seeing frightened soldiers already assaulted each other uncontrollably afterward. Learning Albert's prediction succeed, Lilith understood their readied battlefield strategy at last started working correctly. Though Lilith's determination, Albert ordered her remain securely within Stefan's base during frontline fighting. The demi-mortal commander protected Albert's authority instantly, rejecting Lilith's reckless battlefield request furiously. Though leaders' warnings, Rather insisted joining combat beside experienced demon tribe fighters immediately. Albert lauded Rather's potential, pledging participation after agreeing strict tactical conditions carefully first. Albert ordered Rather observe combat patiently, waiting closely prior to going in combat at perfect moments. After agreeing state, Rather trained seriously, readying himself becoming demon army commander someday. At last entering combat, Rather charged enemy soldiers bravely, overwhelming terrified troops with aggressive assaults. Stefan ordered troops ahead, surrounding exhausted enemies trapped inside Albert's readied battlefield formation completely. While soldiers pleaded Bedouin flight, Merida intercepted him before retreating troops protected him correctly. Merida overcame the commander immediately, boldly announcing success after severing his head during combat. Rather praised Merida's overwhelming strength while Stefan commanded remaining enemies surrender instantly as captives. After success, Stefan realized Albert's plan successfully protected demon territories from martial collapse entirely. After success, Stefan lauded Albert's brilliant strategy while Merida boldly praised her intelligent husband greatly. Merida gladly accepted Albert, departing battlefield cleanup responsibilities fully under his careful leadership. After combat finished, Stefan lauded Rather and Preston's impressive battlefield achievements amid competition results. Merida gained first place boldly after defeating numerous commanders amid the brutal martial campaign. Albert congratulated the Elwyn family kindly, realizing success exceeded each original battlefield expectation deeply. Though festivities, Albert concerned isolation would weaken coming political relationships between surrounding noble territories. Later, Stefan entered Albert peacefully, talking about post-war cleanup responsibilities throughout captured demon territories jointly. Stefan organized captives carefully, selling captives while ensuring confiscated goods from overcame dark market traders. Later, Stefan believed Albert entirely, allowing him manage ransom negotiations with seized nobles independently. Merida requested expensive celebration drinks eagerly, but Albert restricted expenses because martial funds remained limited. Continuing festivities, Merida attempted borrowing Albert's allowance, though obvious fiscal problems surrounding everyone. Meanwhile, Preston and Rather acknowledged fearing their mothers managing each salary gained after victories. Merida protested aloud about celebrating success while everyone labored under strict financial limitations. Fortunately, Stefan delivered wine supplies, allowing excited demon soldiers begin success festivities jointly gladly. Albert recalled to everyone about responsibility closely, though demon festivities continued enthusiastically throughout the evening. After festivities finished, exhausted Albert protested painfully while continuing administrative tasks without reliable assistance. Shortly later, Freya informed Albert about urgent ransom bargaining issues requiring immediate attention elsewhere. Albert established firm ransom policies, treating captives closely while killing unpaid captives without hesitation. Amid negotiations, Albert discovered Lise von Alko imprisoned though, giving each available ransom resource. Lise quietly governed Alko territory disguised as male heir, guarding people amid dangerous instability. Also imprisoned, Lise refused liberty offers because abandoning people would leave blameless people starving. After investigating thoroughly, Albert praised Lise's command abilities and suggested guarding Alko territory through support. Albert suggested protecting Lise carefully, though wedding conditions embarrassed and puzzled her deeply. Merida came eagerly, frightening Lise while Albert explained her strange romantic preferences lightly. Although Merida teased Lise fiercely, Albert recalled to everyone consent stayed absolutely needed always. Albert stated annexation schemes closely, hoping Alko region strengthened Elwyn influence across surrounding regions. Learning wedding conditions entirely, Lise worried nervously while Merida supported Albert's political arrangement confidently. Learning Albert's idea fully, Lise nervously allowed becoming Merida's official romantic partner ultimately. Excited deeply, Merida carried embarrassed Lise away immediately, pledging unforgettable experiences jointly within demon territory. Later, Lise said sorry uneasily, while Merida boldly admitted handling their intimate first experience directly. Learning odd explanations, Albert became embarrassed when everyone misunderstood his relationship governance philosophy entirely. Ultimately, Lise entered Merida's household officially while Albert allowed his strange romantic lifestyle peacefully. Investigating closely, Albert realized enemy prince conspiracies involved risky backers behind battlefield missions. Soon, Empire messengers declared prizes while summoning Albert directly toward the Emperor's regal castle. Learning Empire interests surprisingly, Albert worried his strange relationships and ambitions might become exposed. Albert found out the young Emperor possessed frightening political influence, creating concern about Empire intentions. Meanwhile, one more disastrous report arrived abruptly from the regal capital, warning about martial defeat. Empire commanders worried entirely after disastrous defeat caused massive troop losses and territorial collapse. Officers discovered Lise reclaimed Alko territory successfully, destroying Empire schemes prior to anyone prevented her return. Although commanders said sorry genuinely, enraged nobles refused accepting excuses for catastrophic military setbacks completely. Practice Merida restored Elwyn power successfully. Empire nobles dreaded their succession schemes would collapse. Learning Albert married Lise, furious Empire leaders faulted Merida for ruining political arrangements completely. Rather found Albert's betrayal, condemned the priest fiercely, plus instructed soldiers increase Albert's bounty. The wounded commander said sorry repeatedly while Rather requested silence and readied restrictions going back soldiers. Rather quietly requested support from nearby kingdoms while hiding truths about Albert's unexpected survival. Swearing revenge against Albert, Rather promised brutal punishment after revealing each humiliating defeat publicly. The first Demon King founded Elancia realm swiftly, uniting persecuted demi-humans under Ecto Christ's fortress. Albert stated ancient regal households received voting privileges via Elancia's Demon King selection system. Successive emperors preserved mortal unity through elections, including assassinations, bribery, threats, and factional disputes. Christ von Shugmori ultimately captured election rivals and ascended boldly near Elancia's imperial throne. People respectfully welcomed Emperor Christ while Albert quietly studied Elancia's brutal political customs. Albert praised Christ's overwhelming skills while seeing Alexa Kingdom never truly challenged Elancia realms successfully. Christ formally authorized Albert's engagement with Merida, deeply relieving Albert after difficult negotiations lately. Merida playfully celebrated Albert's acceptance while boldly expecting warmer congratulations from her coming spouse. Preston criticized Merida's kindness, recalling everyone Albert previously protected her amid dangerous exile times. Rethor furiously requested approval after fighting bravely, rejecting constant comparisons against Merida's achievements anymore. Christ warned Merida openly, recalling everyone Imperial audiences demanded dignity, discipline, and respectful conduct always. Albert instantly said sorry prior to Christ, confessing Merida's reckless actions insulted Imperial court etiquette badly. Christ stated Albert bowed because Merida's disrespect nearly forced humiliating penalty upon him openly. Christ showed everything was merely joking with, then lauded Albert's reliability and Merida's fortunate engagement gladly. Merida laughed comfortably, confessing Albert's respectful manner strongly amazed Christ amid their audience. Merida protected her appearance boldly while Preston ridiculed ugly nobles and protested about unattractive humans. Preston thanked Merida genuinely, confessing her protection enabled him becoming respected family chief. Merida instructed Preston support her loyally, securing peaceful collaboration between competing demon family groups permanently. Rather allowed Merida's prize boldly, promising stronger achievements during coming battles across Alancia. Preston lauded Albert patiently, thinking only reliable men could well manage Merida's unpredictable character. Christ lauded Albert's battlefield tactics kindly, acknowledging his intelligence and impressive victories across frontier territories lately. Albert allowed Christ's compliments politely, thinking their relationship remained trustworthy. Though learning suspicious rumors earlier, Christ questioned Albert about ladies surrounding Merida, suspecting secret relationships within Alco family matters recently. Albert denied disloyalty nervously, but Christ threatened penalty after revealing Albert's connections with multiple ladies. Merida protected Albert fiercely, declaring those ladies belonged to her while Albert worried near her publicly. Christ threatened Albert furiously after learning stories about Merida guarding him against imperial punishment recently. Merida protected Albert fearlessly, while Albert urgently searched for arguments preventing Christ from killing him instantly. Albert vowed coming conquests and martial strength, assuring Christ his survival still benefited Elwyn family ambitions. Albert challenged Christ respectfully, recalling him marital relationships stayed personal though, imperial authority over territories. Christ at last allowed Albert's explanation quietly, admitting husbands deserved liberty regarding personal relationships and marriages. Christ tested Merida's devotion jokingly, offering Albert payment while watching each responses carefully. Merida protected Albert possessively, while Albert admitted joining Merida exhausted him past empire tasks. Elwyn retainers cautioned Christ elevating Albert directly could create jealousy between noble supporters. Albert advised Christ against favoritism politely, pledging service helping Merida and Elwyn household interests. Merida lauded Albert's wisdom boldly, thinking her influence enabled his talents shining successfully. Christ recognized Albert's abilities genuinely, appointing him Merida's strategist inside the expanding realm. Albert promised devotion toward Christ and Merida, while Christ warned about troublesome ladies closely. Christ ordered Albert guarding Merida's interests, rewarding obedience amid the Empire celebration feast successfully. 2 weeks later, Albert came back to Ashley Fortress, examining reports showing peaceful territorial conditions. Albert discovered Slat region stayed volatile because desperate farmers abandoned villages, causing roaming bandits. Albert studied post-war issues closely, planning recruitment operations, rebuilding territories, and strengthening Elwyn troops. Merida assembled soldiers excitedly, but Albert announced competition terms including capturing enemies alive during practice. Albert explained injured captives lowered success points, while Preston supported severe battlefield exercises deeply. Rather volunteered keenly for frontline duty, pledging captures while Albert cautioned against careless brutality. Albert assigned younger retainers backing roles, departing rather frustrated because she preferred open combat. Albert stated seized enemies would rebuild territories through works, while Merida questioned his methods. Merida led Elwyn's soldiers using wooden arms, seizing remaining enemies alive for regional development projects. Rather charged boldly throughout battlefields, helping Elwyn secure victories and obtain additional overcame laborers. Albert concerned excessive authority threatened his status, so he centered earning demon tribe trust closely. Albert entered refugee camps, planning persuasion operations, encouraging displaced residents backing Elwyn expansion efforts. Hungry displaced assembled nervously, while Albert vowed protection, shelter, and steady meals under Alancia authority. After receiving proper food, the weary residents gratefully lauded Alancia and abandoned thoughts of going back home. Clean garments were shared next, as Albert requested everyone replace their filthy clothes instantly. Multiple displaced examined the fresh clothes carefully, surprised such quality clothing was freely provided nearby. Confident about coming expansion, Albert thought loyal settlers and laborers would strengthen Merida's rising territories. Albert cautioned the displaced they could never securely return to Alexa region again. Although fearful about becoming Alancia staff, hungry residents slowly allowed Albert's protection and generous supplies. Remembering Alexa's cruelty, the displaced heard closely while Albert detailed better opportunities under Elwyn leadership. Pillaging farmland, temporary levy liberty, tools, and food, Albert encouraged displaced to support Alancia loyally. Doubt fueled among multiple residents, but Albert confidently guaranteed contracts and swore responsibility for every promise. Multiple displaced allowed Albert's contract, abandoning Alexa and supporting the rising Elwyn territory together. Cheering residents assembled boldly while Albert assigned outsiders building villages beside Alancia settlements productively. Satisfied with recruitment victory, Albert designed agricultural expansion carefully, thinking displaced could stabilize territories. Refugee hunts seized overcame soldiers while Albert reviewed reports praising Merida and Preston's battle results. Study casualty numbers closely, Albert thought giving Rather command amid the Empire's next campaign. Albert reviewed refugee census reports closely, arranging work groups constructing villages and waterways effectively. Confident about coming profits, Albert thought settlements would become valuable financial centers for Alancia. Ultimately, meanwhile, Zazen labored managing Prince Orgus's reorganization schemes while overseeing political matters within the capital. Priest Lord Bleach Oxner arrived near Zazan, representing Utel's temple amid discussions with imperial officers. Oxner lauded Prince Orgus quietly, declaring his look took strong blessings from God Utel alone. Zazan found out Bleach quietly backed Prince Orgus while monitoring risky mountain tribes near Alancia borders. Bleach requested approval mobilizing mountain believers, claiming holy war demanded stronger religious martial troops. Suspicious. Zazan questioned Bleach's influence closely, thinking reckless religious politics threatened national security deeply. Grinning confidently, Bleach promised 1,500 armed adherents supporting operations against Albert's rising faction successfully. Study regional charts closely. Zazan considered exploiting Stefan's territory prior to Albert, reclaimed surrounding regions. Lord Bleach acknowledged backing Prince Orgus demanded costly exchanges and valuable political favors quietly. Agreeing Bleach's offerings gracefully, Zazan redirected Alexa's supplies towards backing mountain tribes directly. Afterward, Zazan assigned Brolish managing Tiana's reorganization while handling delicate political matters closely. Meanwhile, Lord Bleach promised growing mountain adherents supporting coming wars while maintaining religious influence countrywide. Amid their meeting, Zazan reassured his concerned father about political tasks and administrative responsibilities successfully. Goran told Zazan about ruinous battle losses caused by enemies recruiting overcame soldiers. Furiously rejecting Goran's warnings, Zazan insisted their kingdom's army stayed strong during territorial disputes. Afterward, Zazan assuredly reassured his father, saying enemy misinformation manipulated Goran into spreading stories. Continuing afterward, Zazan explained exhausted soldiers came back recovering within Tiana, while enemies worried residents. Suspiciously asking about Zazan's confidence, his father reminded him earlier promises guaranteed effortless martial success. Zazan assuredly promised subordinates everything remained controlled, though worsening martial stories spreading throughout territories. Latter, Goran quietly prohibited visitors nearby their bedridden father while suspecting Alancian battle victories. Learning Albert's reports, Goran realized many nobles across territories mysteriously disappeared amid disputes. Worried nobles increasingly abandoned alliances, making Goran reconsidering political security surrounding Prince Orgus closely. One more message from Albert came, warning Goran against allowing Heroes' sword adherents. Reports showed Heroes' sword adherents manipulated believers, while dishonest nobles supported dangerous expansion quietly. Learning accusations, Goran instructed allies severing contacts with suspicious Heroes' sword supporters permanently instantly. Meanwhile, Goran instructed faithful followers gathering intellect while maintaining cooperative relations alongside Albert closely. Although respecting Albert's abilities, Goran dreaded skilled citizens abandoning Alexa weakened national security harshly. Within Ashley Fortress, Merida ignored responsibilities completely, preferring entertainment rather of exhausting administrative tasks. Avoiding responsibilities, Merida ignored tasks lazily though, companions encouraging collaboration amid important meetings. Abruptly, Albert cautioned Merida severe punishment awaited whenever careless conduct created troublesome situations repeatedly. Later, Alicia questioned Albert closely regarding trading missions and governance responsibilities, including business profits. Amid discussions, Albert stated trade earnings funded intellect agencies without affecting household finances directly. Examining financial books, Irina realized secret investments quietly supported expanding intelligence operations throughout territories. Albert assigned Irina ordinary intellect tasks while directly handling Prince Goran's dangerous supporters and missions. At the same time, Alicia supervised secret intellect funding, securing Margie Trading Company extended covert activities successfully. Following New Year festivities, Albert assembled Elwyn family people while announcing their household motto boldly. Meanwhile, Merida enthusiastically vowed countless fights, though Albert spotting peaceful territories lacked active wars presently. Although disappointed, Merida allowed Albert's practice proposal while quietly expecting coming conflicts nearby someday. Shortly, Merida proposed risky supply raids through enemy territories, exciting surrounding soldiers deeply today. Meanwhile, Rather and Preston keenly volunteered guiding upcoming troops while backing Merida's reckless enthusiasm entirely. Though Merida's complaints, Albert firmly ordered her completing administrative tasks prior to participating in fights. Meanwhile, Merida unwillingly managed paperwork, while Albert instructed loyal officers managing household responsibilities closely today. Multiple days later, Albert reviewed trader records and discovered suspiciously numerous blade shops operating local. After investigations, Albert suggested growing mines cheaply producing iron materials necessary, causing strong matchlock rifles. At last, Albert discussed ambitious population strategies, backing childbirth, marriages, healthcare, and coming territorial prosperity schemes. Albert suggested levy reductions encouraging larger households while readying population growth policies throughout territories. Reports showed Slat region preserved stable commerce, fertile farmland, and 700 residents currently. At the same time, merchants traded crops, hides, and timber while backing Slat's financial development steadily. Afterward, Albert instructed continued food assistance, hoping coming heirs inherited prosperous regions with strong foundations. At last, Slat residents thanked Merida genuinely while Albert managed important Alco household matters responsibly. Merida realized martial accomplishments stayed necessary, preventing rebellions threatening Alco family authority and security. At the same time, Alicia stated suspicious mountain tribes backing heroes' sword adherents while assisting Prince Goran financially. Examining intelligence closely, Albert increased investigations regarding mountain tribes readying assaults against imperial territories. Although earlier neutral, mountain tribes changed attitudes slowly while abandoning isolated lifestyles and customs. Reports verified mountain tribes traded valuable goods while quietly exchanging information with local nobles frequently. Reports detailed mountain fighters defeating Empire troops using disguises, illusions, and dangerous guerrilla tactics. Albert quietly allowed Alicia's intelligence, believing careful arrangements could prevent coming territorial instability. Merida keenly volunteered eliminating troublesome mountain tribes, while Irina readied immediate regional inspections. Excited instantly, Merida entered Albert's inspection mission, pledging swift assistance across dangerous investigations. Amid arrangements, Merida gladly vowed destroying suspicious enemies discovered anywhere throughout Slat territory. Merida unwillingly allowed Albert's inspection state while requesting Irina accompany their regional journey. Alicia gladly entered arrangements. Although Merida protested about losing peaceful relaxation opportunities during inspections, their carriage shortly reached Slat Fortress, where residents kindly greeted Lady Lee's return. Merida praised Lee's Tan's compact residence, while Alicia lauded her impressive battlefield might enthusiastically. Crowds rejoiced eagerly outside Slat Fortress, surrounding Lee's carriage amid her long-awaited homecoming. Liza's courageous reputation strengthened Alco household support, while people increasingly praised her resolve leadership abilities. Busy assisting Merida daily, Liz politely declined invitations out of enthusiastic townspeople across Slat region. Albert accompanied inspections closely, learning people complaints while quietly admiring Merida's overwhelming dangerous strength. Amid inspections, Merida effortlessly overcame a gigantic bear, astonishing everyone traveling across local territories. Going back towards Slat Fortress, disappointed Merida protested because recent inspections lacked enough challenging fights. Merida requested fights instantly, neglecting Albert's reminder about their peaceful territorial inspection mission completely. Abruptly, Merida assaulted suspicious intruders while Albert protected Liz and Irina within local chambers. Albert contacted soldiers closely after recognizing mysterious attackers resembled dangerous mountain ninja fighters lately. Enraged instantly, Marita threatened brutally punishing intruders attacking noble bedrooms during important inspection tasks. Masked assassins showed interest toward Albert, admiring Marita's might and Albert's famous intellect deeply. Albert exposed the intruders' disguise while masked assassins risked going back amid coming dangerous encounters. Marita aggressively pursued fleeing assassins while Albert ordered enemies seized alive for asking about instantly. Enraged continuously, Marita assaulted recklessly while masked fighters barely evaded devastating sword strikes repeatedly. Prior to fleeing successfully, mysterious intruders revealed beast-like appearances, astonishing Albert and local companions deeply. Employing bright flash orbs abruptly, masked assassins escaped entirely while Marita furiously cursed their cowardice. Smoke bombs enabled unknown intruders fleeing successfully while enraged Marita abandoned immediate dangerous pursuit temporarily. Lies instantly organized search parties closely, ordering soldiers investigate each castle grounds and surrounding towns. Angry continuously, Marita requested surviving local until officials identified shameless intruders spying upon her bedroom. Albert requested additional accommodations because he suspected dangerous intruders stayed quietly somewhere within Slat Fortress. Several days afterward, Alicia at last showed intruders belonged to Goshute mountain tribes led by Warid. Smoke bombs enabled unknown intruders fleeing successfully while enraged Marita abandoned immediate dangerous pursuit temporarily. Lies instantly organized search parties closely, ordering soldiers investigate each castle grounds and surrounding towns. Angry continuously, Marta requested surviving local until officials identified shameless intruders spying upon her bedroom. Albert requested additional accommodations because he suspected dangerous intruders stayed quietly somewhere within Slat Fortress. Several days afterward, Alicia at last showed intruders belonged to Goshute mountain tribes led by Warid. Learning the envoys coming, Albert confidently planned discussions before going in the secluded Goshute settlement. Meanwhile, Marita accompanied Albert and Lies via mountainous region after Warid successfully managed official arrangements. Crossing eastward mountains, Marita carried Albert closely while local residents guided their difficult journey onward. Ashamed expressions appeared after Marita teased Albert continuously as traveling deeper via snowy mountain paths. Next of them, Albert warned Marita and Lies quietly prior to gaining the tribe's settlement entrance. Within Goshute village, Warid greeted Albert's group kindly while introducing himself as respected tribal chief. Later, Marita observed attractive mountain maidens closely, surviving possessive toward Albert throughout their unknown visit. Marita assuredly backed Albert's mission, while Warid observed her bold conduct with rising curiosity. Abruptly armed residents encircled Marita's group carefully, testing Albert's intentions within unfamiliar mountain territory. Maintaining composure, Marita requested proper hospitality while Warid acknowledged their warning conduct seemed entirely obvious. Within the gathering hall, Alicia served mountain alcohol boldly while Albert observed Goshute customs silently. After tasting strange fruit liquor, Marita allowed the drink gladly though, its strange and aging flavor. Albert studied Goshute village closely, spotting Warid's leadership abilities between experienced mountain trackers. Interested about their intentions, Albert asked Warid about secret negotiations behind the strange invitation. While sipping mountain liquor, Warid stated concerns, including traditions and dangerous political relationships. Local state tensions continued spreading rapidly, creating Warid's tribe to lose their earlier neutral status. After understanding everything clearly, Albert proposed uniting mountain tribes jointly under Warid's believed command. Warid refused Albert's idea furiously, fearing his tribe would become persecuted enemies later. Quietly sipping beside Alicia, Marita believed Albert completely and thought his strategy already remained prepared. Doubts kept troubling Warid because relying upon outside noble households risked Goshute neutrality forever. After listening closely, Albert explained each faction possessed secret motives under their public appearances. At last, Warid allowed Albert's discussions seriously, while allowing further questions regarding coming tribal collaboration. Albert found the Goshute tribe became isolated after disputes, including the Sword of Hero adherents. Warid stated sadly that neighboring mountain tribes allowed accusations and evaded Goshute people entirely afterward. Food shortages worsened continuously, making Goshute residents toward desperate survival decisions inside severe mountain conditions. After spotting widespread starvation, Marita proposed relocating temporarily toward Slat region for needed provisions. Learning Alicia's proposal closely, Warid allowed collaboration and requested Albert's strategy for protecting Goshute village. Albert stated his strategy closely, while Warid thought the proposal with rising interest afterward. Motivated by Albert's confidence, Werid determined uniting mountain tribes stayed their tribe's only remaining opportunity. As coming compensation, Werid vowed Albert rare mountain products, attractive ladies, and valuable alcohol supplies. Multiple months afterward, Merida rejoiced successful progress while Albert's operation against Sword of Hero extended steadily. Within Slat region, lies stated Ghostweed intelligence agents successfully assembled important information throughout foreign nations. Albert investigated Sword of Hero Temple, uncovering corruption beneath common religious doctrines recently. Meanwhile, dishonest clerics exploited wars repeatedly while gathering riches and controlling desperate believers everywhere. Arriving at Fallbrecht region, Albert met again peacefully with Margrave Stefan after recent martial disputes ended. Soon, Marita gladly met again with her older sibling, showing strange affection during their emotional meeting. Leia advised Marita responsibly, while Albert found out more regarding powerful demon nobility contacts closely. Leia interrupted Merida eagerly, requesting personal sibling bonding while readying discussions with Albert afterward. Cheerful enthusiasm filled the mansion as Merida gladly followed Leia toward restful bath arrangements together. Meanwhile, Albert discussed coming missions seriously with Stefan, pursuing the risky Sword of Hero organization. After recent defeats weakened public trust, Albert suggested revealing corruption surrounding powerful religious leaders openly. Understanding Albert's intentions instantly, Stefan planned meetings with important shrine clerics for their upcoming operation. Albert found out the realm worshipped Alexius, while multiple nations accompanied different forbidden gods separately. Historical disputes began following Utel believers condemned Alexius worshippers and labeled them risky heretics. Inside Flexa Kingdom, clerics trained aggressively while Stefan asked important sacred leaders toward his territory. During their personal meeting, Stefan introduced Albert carefully while discussing urgent matters, including temple matters. Surprised by Albert's abrupt appearance, High Priest Sandal heard closely regarding suspicious religious activities lately. Albert told Sandal about wedding Merida prior to mentioning suspicious Sword of Hero activities. Stefan explained authorities investigated Sword of Hero people after illegal accusations fueled throughout the realm. Examining papers closely, Albert questioned Sandal regarding possible contacts with forbidden sacred supporters. Guarding Utel doctrines intensely, Sandal condemned Sword of Hero extremists twisting religion toward goals. Pleased by Sandal's response, Albert concluded the High Priest stayed uninvolved inside recent conspiracies. Albert explained Mountain Displaced endured persecution because Sword of Hero adherents fueled religious violence continuously. To prove innocence openly, Albert urged Sandal toward open action against extremist organizations instantly. Examining noble contacts closely, Sandal discovered influential supporters quietly backed Sword of Hero activities. Furious by corruption, Sandal vowed directly eliminating nobles, backing dangerous religious extremists entirely. Pleased with Sandal's collaboration, Albert and Stefan readied operations against Alexa Kingdom conspirators jointly. Albert exposed Sword of Hero corruption openly, damaging their power throughout Utel Temple adherents significantly. Shortly, expelled leaders triggered widespread scandals, creating terrified believers to abandon the extremist organization. Watching events unfold quietly, Albert predicted Sword of Hero backers would ultimately destroy themselves entirely. Within Alexa Kingdom, Orgus protected Zazan's state role while arguing fiercely against his father, though critique surrounding Goran's birth. Orgus continued thinking his younger brother deserved regal succession rights. Shortly, Goran presented documents revealing Sword of Hero representatives connected carefully with Orgus lately. Stunned by unexpected proof, Orgus investigated quietly and discovered suspicious activities surrounding extremist backers. After confirming everything closely, Orgus consented instantly to dissolve Sword of Hero proxies across Alexa Kingdom. After receiving Goran's warning, Orgus discovered multiple backing nobles belonged quietly to his household. Enraged afterward, Orgus vowed directly to eliminate each Sword of Hero supporter without hesitation entirely. Believing in Orgus fully, the king instructed immediate destruction of risky extremist influences throughout Alexa Kingdom. Shortly afterward, Orgus confronted Zazan furiously regarding secret information about Sword of Hero exiles lately. Stunned by official papers, Zazan realized Goran's faction already left Sword of Hero backers. Seeing Goran manipulated events closely, Orgus concerned deeply about losing important political influence. Resolved to endure politically, Orgus instructed immediate arrests pursuing Bleach and Sword of Hero executives. Fearing exposure completely, Orgus quietly shattered evidence connecting himself with unlawful blade supplies. Consumed by ambition, Orgus swore assuredly he would never surrender Alexa Kingdom's seat calmly. Multiple months later, Merida protested lazily about paperwork while daydreaming gladly about Leia near Slack Castle. Merida distracted herself gladly with Alicia's joking with while avoiding unfinished paperwork obligations later. Meanwhile, Lise received revealing clothing surprisingly, creating Merida to become ashamed and suspicious instantly afterward. Ultimately, Albert came back home and discovered Irina exhausted after managing region matters without assistance continuously. Examining numerous reports closely, Albert organized martial practice, construction projects, and expanding farmland development simultaneously. As territory improvements progressed steadily, Albert continued strengthening infrastructure while readying coming expansion schemes closely. Warrid organized emergency defensive arrangements swiftly while mobilizing faithful mountain retainers across surrounding territories. Within Slat region, Albert reviewed reports showing successful exile missions against Sword of Hero backers. Meanwhile, dishonest officers connected with extremist groups disappeared rapidly after Sandal expelled powerful supporters openly. Across the kingdom, Sword of Hero power weakened dramatically following continuous state scandals and inquiries. Pleased with recent progress, Albert instructed Warrid closely to fuel damaging information about exposed hero associates. After Warrid disappeared abruptly, Albert believed mountain intellect agents while Irina stayed suspicious. Afterward that night, Marta approached Albert affectionately while wearing revealing clothes within Slat Fortress. Ashamed, Marta reacted shyly after Albert lauded her look and strange outfit enthusiastically. Wanting additional prizes afterward, Merida readied dinner personally while proudly joining Albert within their residence. Amid their personal meal, Merida fed Albert lovingly while becoming flustered by his joking with conduct. Amid Diamond period, Warrid boldly delivered progress reports regarding newly constructed storehouse defenses to Albert. After examining schemes closely, Albert approved reinforced warehouses designed against catapult assaults and dangerous raids. Shortly, Albert inspected completed food warehouses while readying emergency supplies for coming sieges closely. Continuing arrangements, Albert instructed laborers closely to prevent rodents damaging important stored provisions entirely. Afterward that day, Warrid stated Sword of Hero scandals spreading rapidly across Alexa Kingdom regions. Warrid stated Sword of Hero survivors escaped toward mountain regions after losing support within Alexa Kingdom. Readying coming negotiations closely, Albert allowed Warrid's offer supporting operations throughout mountain settlements. To ensure Albert's safety, Warrid planned trustworthy escorts prior to going in risky mountain territories. Shortly, Warrid presented his daughter Luminous, giving her directly as Albert's temporary bodyguard. Although appearing gentle outwardly, Luminous had notable skills while Marta praised her bespoke appearance enthusiastically. Feeling uneasy, Marta requested additional safety while Albert readied dangerous mountain negotiations closely. Touched by Lisa's devotion, Marta hugged her firmly while expressing intense affection and gratitude. Prior to departing again, Albert entrusted Irina and Melvis closely with managing Slat region obligations. Readying for one more mission, Albert traveled toward mountain territories while Merida requested entering urgently. Though Marida's complaints, Alicia forced her toward paperwork while Albert kept his risky journey. Within tribe headquarters, Hakim Warihara detailed mountain people traditions and neutral state stance. Grinning quietly, Albert showed the Demon King's command asking destruction of opposing mountain tribes. Amid the tense meeting, Albert assigned the Elwyn household guiding the upcoming martial operation. Stunned by Albert's statement, Hakim admitted multiple mountain people refused backing the hero's faction. Seeking calm rather of conflict, Albert requested negotiations prior to needless war-consumed mountain territory. Across mountain regions, Albert designed alliances closely while readying prizes for cooperative tribal leaders. Opening the valuables chest, Albert offered gold bars, ensuring calm among divided mountain communities. Although suspicious toward Realm, Hakim admitted extreme hero backers threatened security across mountain tribes. Abruptly, Merida requested extermination of each mountain believer, opposing the Empire's rising authority completely. Surviving steady, Albert separated extremists out of moderates while proposing stronger mountain people relations. Agreeing Albert's idea, Hakim readied mountain tribes for dangerous conflict approaching shortly. Prior to departing, Hakim requested reports regarding each tribe supporting the hero's faction closely. Days afterward, Albert entered Warihara region and presented himself to mountain residents politely. Welcoming Albert kindly, residents shared food, alcohol, and accounts about Hakim's rising power. While sipping jointly, Albert examined tribal loyalties and discovered increasing hero movement support quietly. Initially, Mountain People Society comprised of beast folk trackers and settled human farming communities together. Following hero worship fueled rapidly, disputes emerged between settlers and traditional beast folk mountain tribes. Rising tensions remained secret because leaders dreaded outsiders' practice about internal mountain conflicts completely. Following inquiries, Albert found moderates dominated most tribes, while extremists represented risky smaller groups. According to Albert's findings, extreme backers lived near Alexa's frontier and refused peaceful negotiations. Several days afterward, Albert aimed at undecided moderates after confirming extremists drove the conflict primarily. Without warning, equipped adherents burned village fields while accusing residents of hiding risky traders quietly. Demanding larger donations, fanatics threatened peaceful residents though. Devotion toward hero religious doctrines. Frightened people surrendered treasures immediately after believers labeled resisting residents dangerous heretics publicly. Watching extortion persist, Albert realized residents deeply hated the hero's brutal extreme supporters. After succeeding, Albert soothed Linus while she lamented deceiving blameless mountain residents temporarily. Remaining inside the forest, Linus promised Albert continued support amid each difficult mission faithfully. Afterward, Albert came back, confiscated donations, earning gratitude from residents suffering extremist oppression lately. Meanwhile, extreme adherents readied one more attack against southern mountain settlements under hero organization leadership. Within headquarters, clerics realized repeated village assaults shattered their supporters and reputation gradually. Within shrine headquarters, Bleach readied receiving believers, giving generous religious donations respectfully. Disguised as faithful supporter, Albert showed gold ingots while praising the hero's sacred mission openly. Receiving blessings quietly, Albert pretended gratitude prior to mentioning a key concern requiring immediate attention. Opening the letter carefully, Bleach learned beastfolk requested action against corrupt shrine people secretly. Convinced by Albert's plot, Bleach rejected investigations and ordered soldiers seizing the letter's author. Blamed of inciting rebellion, the faction chief was arrested by armed shrine soldiers instantly. Following Albert's manipulation, the seized chief surrendered Bleach's secrets while pleading urgently for survival. Soon, Albert planned forged betrayal messages, deepening rising distrust between extremist supporters further. Meanwhile, Warid and his daughter fueled accusations closely, creating leaders executing one more repeatedly. Ultimately, Bleach's weakened organization collapsed entirely after fanatic disputes escalated into brutal power struggles. Within Warihara village, Hakim found out tribes wanted him guiding all mountain people ceremonially. Meanwhile, Albert stated Elwyn family would quietly command authority behind Hakim's neutral public status. Agreeing the arrangement assuredly, Warid vowed devotion while Albert protected mountain tribes peacefully alive. Considering Albert's proposal closely, Hakim consented uniting each village under shared leadership. Ultimately, prior to departing, Albert assigned Hakim responsibility convincing surviving villages inside 2 months successfully. Going back to Ashley Fortress, Merida greeted Albert gladly after completing family leadership responsibilities successfully. As prize, Albert presented Luminous as Merida's latest retainer and believed subordinate officially. Excited by the appointment, Merida promoted Luminous inside her private security manager instantly. Later that evening, Merida pulled embarrassed Luminous away while readying bedtime jointly keenly upstairs. During the following period, Albert centered on projects while laborers extended settlement infrastructure steadily. Raymore's laborers entered Albert's faction after rebuilding settlements left by struggling displaced successfully. Meanwhile, Marida became beloved between village offspring though, frightening adults with overwhelming strength surprisingly. Months later, Albert found out persuasion efforts succeeded and assembled tribal leaders for negotiations instantly. Confident about arrangements, Albert ordered Marida readying herself prior to destroying the Sword of Hero entirely. Within Warihara village, Hakim assembled tribal leaders to confirm agreements versus the Sword of Hero. During discussions, multiple leaders warned Albert that extremist adherents still influenced specific eastern mountain tribes. Surprisingly appearing near Hakim, Albert stunned attendees after revealing himself as the Elwyn household strategist. Although surprised by Albert's youthful appearance, tribal leaders honored his intellect and diplomatic accomplishments instantly. Later, Albert lightly discussed local matters while quietly gathering information about influential tribal family connections. Amid one more gathering, Albert warned leaders about repeating Sword of Hero brutal fanaticism entirely. Receiving unanimous support, Albert rejoiced alongside residents while strengthening trust through shared sipping celebrations. Discussing conditions, Albert found out Bleach isolated himself inside deeply guarded mountain stronghold defenses recently. Recognizing the opportunity instantly, Albert ordered Marida readying troops prior to assaulting Bleach's organization directly. Shortly, urgent reports reached Alexa's residence as martial actions fueled across mountain territories rapidly. Within Alexa Kingdom, officers discovered papers linking Prince Orgus with Sword of Hero donations quietly, stunned by proof. Nobles questioned whether forged signatures risked Orgus's state reputation permanently. As defections increased rapidly, Orgus instructed investigators uncovering whoever leaked damaging fiscal donation information openly. Meanwhile, Marida came alongside soldiers after Albert requested martial help for mountain missions urgently. Satisfied by Marida's speed, Albert realized their campaign could at last begin next schedule well. Excited for combat, Marida and demon fighters readied themselves before attacking extremist troops aggressively. Worried about Ashley Castle's safety, Albert questioned Merida regarding defensive responsibilities amid martial operations. Thou understanding dangers, Merida insisted experienced commanders stayed necessary throughout dangerous stronghold assault missions. Annoyed by recklessness, Albert disciplined Merida and Preston prior to continuing arrangements for the designed invasion. Remaining before troops, Albert ordered Merida minimizing casualties while ensuring success against enemy troops. Guiding the assault directly, Merida commanded demon soldiers toward deeply protected mountain fortress aggressively. As guards worried within, demon fighters advanced relentlessly while arrows rained across battlefields continuously. Neglecting assaults entirely, Preston charged forward fearlessly while breaking enemy defensive formations apart brutally. Encircled by archers, Preston deflected many arrows effortlessly prior to continuing unstoppable stronghold advance further. Watching fights quietly, Albert analyzed Preston's reckless fighting format while demon troops breached defenses. After breaching stronghold gates, Preston keenly led demon soldiers deeper into enemy region fiercely. Meanwhile, Marida entered the assault enthusiastically while Preston's squad overwhelmed guards throughout hallways swiftly. Unable enduring demon assaults, frightened soldiers abandoned locations and attempted fleeing collapsing fortress desperately. Watching fights quietly, Albert lauded troop coordination while Marida protested about weak opponents repeatedly. Cornered within narrow hallways, enemy soldiers assaulted Marida recklessly prior to suffering complete overcome immediately. Encircled by frightened soldiers, Merida overwhelmed each defender attacking her within fortress hallways effortlessly. Though defeating countless enemies already, Merida continued seeking stronger opponents satisfying brutal combat instincts entirely. Frightened remaining soldiers realized Albert's strategies had completely shattered their surviving martial resistance entirely. Prior to departing battlefield missions, Albert entrusted Merida eliminating surviving enemies throughout the captured fortress carefully. Meanwhile, underground, Bleach worried instantly after learning demon soldiers breaking through store defenses successfully. Within the underground stronghold, Bleach found Albert infiltrated his hideout alongside equipped demon soldiers successfully. Threatened by Albert instantly, Bleach revealed the secret valuables location after suffering painful interrogation brutally. Pretending kindness closely, Albert promised Bleach safe flight after receiving information regarding secret Empire gold. Guided through secret mechanisms, Bleach exposed underground valuable store containing massive amounts of stolen riches. Calculating coming influence closely, Albert ordered half the valuables distributed between supportive mountain people tribes. Warid lauded Albert's intellect, thinking terrified mountain people would willingly support his dangerous political ambitions. Hakim celebrated coming grandchildren while helping Warid transport massive stolen valuables throughout secret underground corridors. Bleach gladly believed Albert's promise, unknowingly walking directly toward secret soldiers surrounding flight tunnels completely. Realizing Albert's betrayal too late, Bleach worried desperately after uncovering every flight route, completely stopped. Albert mocked Bleach's silly devotion prior to transferring command authority directly toward Lady Marida during combat. Chuckling excitedly, Marida frightened surrendering soldiers while wielding massive blade across battlefields mercilessly. Savoring overwhelming victories entirely, Merida boldly observed terrified enemies retreating throughout ruined fortresses. Remaining prior to seized survivors, Merida declared Bleach's defeat while demanding unconditional surrender immediately. Disappointed by yielding enemies, Preston encouraged remaining soldiers persist fighting against demon fighters fearlessly. Unsatisfied with simple victories, Marida challenged surviving enemies' assaults simultaneously though overwhelming battlefield destruction. Following internal disputes, Albert centered entirely on weakening surviving Sword of Hero supporters strategically. Meanwhile, Merida and Preston gladly anticipated coming fights while continuing supporting Albert's rising ambitions loyally. Within Ashley Fortress, Albert closely reviewed costly construction requests supporting newly connected mountain settlements' infrastructure. Soon, Preston and Marida arrived requesting one more large-scale martial practice exercise approval instantly. Learning their proposal, Albert concerned because recent fights already consumed massive war preparation funds previously. Neglecting Albert's concerns entirely, Preston and Merida argued intensely regarding leadership amid upcoming martial operations. Annoyed by endless arguing, Albert disciplined Preston and Merida using firm Elwyn household contemplation discipline. Albert rebuked Preston and Merida harshly for abandoning Ashley Fortress amid dangerous martial operations. Treeing excuses urgently, Preston faulted Merida while avoiding responsibility regarding Ashley Castle's weakened defenses entirely. Assuredly guarding herself, Merida insisted Lizatan stayed the best battlefield commander amid recent combat situations. Neglecting further arguments, Albert assigned Merida massive administrative paperwork, rather additional reflection room punishment instantly. Realizing overwhelming workload awaited her, Merida unwillingly allowed Albert's firm administrative disciplinary decision quietly. Within Ashley Fortress, Albert reviewed offers increasing battlefield medics and prosthetic research funding closely. Seeing severe wartime wounds, Albert thought recruiting Alco household specialists improving Demon Tribe medical treatment. After approving technological investments, Albert continued examining reports about growing Maurice Trading Company missions strategically. Warid cautioned Albert rising martial expenses threatened draining supplies supporting mountain people alliances across territories. Fortunately, Warid delivered valuable mountain goods helping Albert stabilize growing trade missions. Albert discovered strange firewater blazing strongly, prompting curiosity regarding promise industrial and martial applications. Warid stated abundant petroleum reserves existed locally, although difficult transporting securely throughout surrounding regions. Recognizing petroleum's promise, Albert designed developing advanced weapons supporting Demon Tribe martial missions strategically. Afterward, Albert thought citrus fruits and herbs, useful neutralizing unpleasant petroleum odors amid transportation processes. Ashley proposed rich nobles purchasing fragrant products eagerly, helping Albert expand profitable local trading networks. Albert suggested establishing distillation facilities, causing profitable aromatic oils backing Gosheet Village financial development successfully. Ashley authorized cosmetic production plants, thinking wealthy nobles would keenly purchase expensive aromatic oil products. Multiple weeks afterward, Merida enthusiastically tested fragrant prototypes, while Albert closely observed customer responses. Luminous got lavender extract treatments directly administered closely, helping Albert evaluate fragrance quality and effectiveness. Ultimately, scented oils and cosmetics achieved huge commercial victory, deeply enriching Gosheet Tribe merchants financially. Albert extended beauty distribution countrywide, increasing mountain people prosperity through Merida's successful commercial alliances. Amid Rose Court's period, Albert, Merida, and Lies got summonses from the Demon King. Merida ignored Albert's concerns entirely, thinking their regal summons involved harmless administrative discussions rather. Afterward, Merida rested near Luminous, savoring playful moments while temporarily abandoning official responsibilities. Luminous flushed nervously whenever Merida touched her tail, creating embarrassing responses across their interaction. Luminous hurt Merida lightly before Albert interrupted, recalling them about scheduled regal audience arrangements within personal chambers. Merida welcomed Demon King gladly while servants prepared luxurious welcoming meals. Merida showed valuable fruit wine presents boldly, hoping Demon King enjoyed imported beverages deeply. Demon King appreciated Albert's perfumes instantly, praising pleasant fragrance plus refined manufacturing quality highly. Merida gave additional beauty products assuredly, supporting Albert's growing commercial influence throughout demon territories. Albert and Lies entered politely while Demon King greeted them, readying discussions near imported wine. Amid dinner, Demon King lauded Albert's tactics, acknowledging mountain people region changed dramatically under Elwyn command. Albert stated mountain people devotion resulted from Elwyn power, strengthening valuable regional alliances considerably. Merida's popularity with Luminous convinced Demon King, abandoning extermination schemes, benefited state relationships deeply. Albert realized Demon King intended eliminating mountain people entirely, narrowly avoiding disastrous state results earlier. Demon King lauded Albert's accomplishments, acknowledging mountain people integration strengthened empire security throughout territories. Albert nervously explained complications occurred lately, though Demon King trusting his tactical intelligence entirely. Albert admitted giving Lies Ashley Fortress responsibility created political misunderstandings between important demon households. Merida protected Lies passionately, recalling everyone she rescued Demon Tribe people during dangerous disputes successfully. Albert stayed cautious, thinking Li's demanded improvement prior to earning complete political trust permanently. Albert told Demon King regarding noble households backing remnants from Sword Hero faction quietly. Reports showed Floiga family ready defecting toward Alexa Kingdom, threatening regional political security harshly. Albert explained, enemy armies designed assaulting Ashley Castle while supporting alco-martial operations quietly. Floiga soldiers recruited remaining Sword Hero adherents desperately, strengthening troops before upcoming territorial disputes significantly. Albert suggested destroying Floiga household fully, allowing Demon King growing territorial authority successfully. Demon King authorized Albert's merciless proposal, legally pursuing Floiga family through official Empire authority immediately. Lord Glyze's incompetence convinced Demon King supporting Albert's forceful schemes benefited Imperial security deeply everywhere. Albert suggested assigning Li's investigations carefully, showing devotion toward Demon King through successful martial operations. Li's allowed responsibilities boldly while Merida enthusiastically anticipated destroying Floiga troops during upcoming fights completely. Demon King encouraged overwhelming force against resistance, transforming martial invasion into formally sanctioned regional inspection assignments. Merida organized Elwyn troops closely, while Albert readied formations against nearby Alexa Kingdom armies. Preston and Merida allowed Albert's firm commands, avoiding penalty within dreaded special reflection chambers. Albert accompanied excited Merida toward Floiga region, expecting fights against kingdoms supporting noble households. Within Southern Village, Li's approached residents alongside Albert's equipped Empire investigation squad closely. Facing the uneasy chief, Albert stated Imperial authority while guards encircled the residents quietly. Without doubt, Li's cautioned everyone against resistance as uneasy residents lowered their heads nervously. Abruptly, Merida entered carrying massive sword, frightening residents recognizing the legendary bloodthirsty demon instantly. Raising each hands urgently, the chief insisted secret residents were harmless visiting relatives temporarily. Quietly confronting the chief, Li's exposed secret collaboration with dangerous mountain tribe criminals lately. Masked residents questioned Albert angrily, doubting whether Glyze approved the Imperial investigation happening nearby. Maintaining power, Albert cautioned crowds against placing Glyze's power above the Emperor's command openly. Shortly, Empire soldiers discovered suspicious bullion ingots and secret messages connected toward Glyze's faction. Grinning coldly, Li's declared rebellion charges while condemning the chief's family under Empire law instantly. Frightened by Merida's sword, the chief denied each rebellion accusation against himself instantly. Sweating deeply, the terrified chief faulted Glyze while insisting he never resisted Imperial government before. Listening closely, Albert requested honesty after learning the chief offer half his secret fortune. Smirking dangerously, Merida risked harsher penalty while lowering her blade toward the trembling chief directly. Entirely broken by fear, the chief surrendered everything while pleading urgently for leniency and survival. Relieved by Albert's choice, the chief appreciated him while pledging complete obedience from now onward. Meanwhile, terrified residents swore silence as Albert warned against hiding additional illegal activities quietly anymore. Grinning assuredly, Albert showed Imperial soldiers already investigated the tribe's surviving secret hideouts successfully. Across the village, Empire troops arrested tribe people connected with Sword of Hero organizations swiftly. Later, the chief's son allowed responsibility silently, helping officials complete detentions without further resistance. Uncovering his father's rebellion involvement, the chief's son assisted Empire troops with valuable information quietly. Amid investigations, Albert believed the young man enough assigning dangerous capture missions carefully local. Although Merida resisted leniency strongly, Albert allowed betrayal risks while believing in the terrified youth continuously. Deeply moved, the chief's son promised devotion while Albert readied precautions against coming betrayal quietly. Shortly, reports showed Glyze and adherents attempted fleeing toward Kingdom of Alexa urgently. Near the frontier, Merida pursued Glyze's group while frightening soldiers scattered throughout mountain roads. Thinking safety awaited past Empire territory, Glyze ordered adherents ignoring Merida's relentless pursuit behind them. Watching quietly from horseback, Albert encouraged Merida while soldiers readied surrounding assaults against fleeing enemies instantly. Seeing dangerous formation errors, Glyze ordered separation desperately prior to Merida hunted surviving traitors mercilessly. Abruptly, arrows struck Glyze repeatedly while enraged soldiers cursed Merida amid chaotic border pursuit fights. With frightening speed, Merida overcame fleeing soldiers while finishing surviving frontier resistance completely. Meanwhile, Albert waited quietly near allies while monitoring kingdom armies approaching designed ambush locations. Without delay, Merida instructed movement toward Slat region while wolves gathered battlefield remains quietly. Meanwhile, Duke Brolish guided Alexa armies assuredly via secret shortcuts into Slat region directly. Thinking success guaranteed, Duke Brolish readied seizing Slat Castle before attacking distracted Elven troops immediately. Confident about success, Duke Brolish designed surrounding Elven troops through coordinated multi-directional assaults simultaneously. At the same time, Merida observed marching armies quietly while considering them helpless prey wandering into danger unknowingly. Entirely unaware, Alexa soldiers advanced rashly after believing in false intellect from Warid's manipulated information network. Rising impatient swiftly, Lise urged Albert beginning missions before Warid escaped beyond readied battlefield traps. Agreeing the timing instantly, Albert launched ambushes while Merida's troops released huge rocks against advancing enemies. Without warning, massive rocks crashed downward, crushing horses while panic fueled between Alexa's soldiers. Separated by fallen boulders, puzzled troops labored regrouping. After retreat routes became stopped entirely behind, watching quietly, Albert ordered one more assault phase while Warid's allies prepared secret barrels carefully. Moments later, strange fluid-covered terrified soldiers before secret fighters ignited flames across battlefields violently. Encircled by fire, frightened soldiers attempted retreating while Duke Brolish forced troops ahead urgently. Pleased by spreading fires, Merida lauded blazing dark liquid collected from Moon Mountain previously. Excited for combat, Lise assembled fighters while Albert encouraged assaulting frightened enemy rear guards immediately. Rushing recklessly next, Merida overwhelmed retreating soldiers while archers readied surrounding attacks from secret locations. Trapped between fires and cliffs, desperate Alexa soldiers charged ahead, though specific death awaiting them. Wielding her massive blade joyfully, Merida challenged remaining enemies while Lise requested surviving opponents herself. Guiding Albert's strategy assuredly, Lise ordered soldiers blocking enemy flight routes across local battlefields immediately. Rushing recklessly ahead, Merida overwhelmed frightened soldiers while spreading panic across collapsing enemy formations everywhere. Abruptly, a massive demon fighter confronted advancing troops aggressively, readying brutal resistance against Merida's approaching troops. Addressing Alexa's battlefield troops, Merida recognized giant northern exiles backing enemy soldiers amid fighting. Confident about success, Lord Dama tested Merida directly while seeking status via defeating opponents. Without hesitation, Merida stopped Donma's massive blade while surrounding soldiers observed their confrontation nervously. Though resisting fiercely, Merida became overwhelmed temporarily, stunning troops witnessing her forced withdrawal backward. Chuckling haughtily, Lord Donma mocked Merida confidently while readying one more devastating attack against enemies. Recovering swiftly, Merida counterattacked aggressively while making Donma backward during their brutal battlefield confrontation local. Grinning assuredly, Merida mocked Donma's strength repeatedly, while avoiding each reckless assault effortlessly during combat. Furious past reason, Donma charged wildly again while Merida continued humiliating his failed assaults openly. Without doubt, Merida shattered Donma's teeth brutally while recalling enemies about her intense battlefield might clearly entirely overcame. Donma collapsed painfully while Merida mocked his weakness before terrified soldiers quietly. Remaining quietly, Merida ignored Donma's threats while provoking reckless battlefield assaults instantly. Catching Donma's huge blade barehanded, Merida stunned soldiers witnessing overwhelming bodily strength firsthand. Rising enraged immediately, Merida readied brutal punishment after Donma's repeated insults during combat. Without doubt, Merida hurled massive boulders brutally toward Donma, crushing soldiers entirely. Frightened troops retreated instantly while thinking Merida served a frightening evil god. Grinning assuredly, Merida saw enemy commanders disappearing while searching battlefields for targets. Watching spreading fire, soldiers warned Merida about slowing actions across blazing battlefields. Resolved to prove herself, Merida hunted enemy commanders while carrying her huge blade. Meanwhile, Duke Brolish organized surviving soldiers nervously after enemy cavalry neared battle locations. Rushing via collapsing formations, Merida aimed at isolated commanders trying desperate resistance. Introducing herself boldly, Merida aimed at Duke Brolish directly, while advancing via collapsing enemy formations surrounding frightened commanders. Merida slaughtered guarding soldiers while pursuing Duke Brolish relentlessly throughout battlefields. Savoring combat, Merida scattered troops brutally while commanders requested reinforcements urgently. Closing distance rapidly, Merida cornered Duke Brolish as blocking each flight attempt. Abruptly, Merida's strike missed surprisingly, departing soldiers staring toward battle shadows nervously. Restraining Duke Brolish firmly, Merida risked death while soldiers paused nearby their commander. Feeling fatigue abruptly, Merida searched for Rather while struggling to maintain consciousness amid combat. Employing Duke Brolish closely, Merida forced soldiers clearing flight routes throughout battlefield areas. Spotting Merida weakening, soldiers attempted rescuing Duke Brolish while pleading for leniency. Abruptly, arrows struck Duke Brolish again and again, as Merida questioned soldiers betraying their commander. Departing collapsing battlefields swiftly, exhausted Merida continued pursuing Duke Brolish, though worsening bodily conditions. Abruptly feeling nauseous, Merida labored walking correctly while her vision blurred across blazing battlefield surroundings. Spotting Merida weakening dangerously, enemy soldiers attempted surrounding her while readying one more desperate assault immediately. Arriving abruptly beside Merida, Rather overcame approaching enemies swiftly while asking about her strange battlefield conditions seriously. Grinning weakly, Merida admitted fatigue frankly, while trusting Rather handling surviving battlefield enemies temporarily. Merida took Duke Brolish's severed head while quietly hiding worsening fatigue from surrounding allies. Rather enthusiastically led demon soldiers ahead, frightening retreating enemy troops across blazing battlefields. Worried about Albert uncovering weaknesses, Merida requested assistance gaining advantageous locations overlooking enemy encampments. Meanwhile, Rathor fiercely commanded assaulting fighters directly toward deeply protected Elwyn Army Command headquarters. Though worsening sickness, Merida advanced closely while enemy soldiers labored resisting Rathor's brutal offensive. Rather told Albert their successful campaign caused ruinous enemy losses and huge battlefield captures. Albert quietly reviewed reports showing executed nobles, overcame officers, and intense battlefield victories achieved. Satisfied with minimal losses, Albert verified their dangerous fire strategy successfully smashed opposing rebel troops. Financial reports showed confiscated enemy assets generated massive profits, though expensive martial suppression operations conducted. Mountain tribes improved Albert's influence considerably while providing valuable laborers, supplies, and faithful local alliances. Albert greeted victorious Merida residents, celebrating weakening Elwyn troops and successful battle conquests. Abruptly weary, Merida collapsed near Albert, frightening attendants with alarming sickness symptoms instantly. While healers rushed urgently toward Merida's tent, enemy commanders furiously discussed catastrophic martial setbacks. Regal officers received Duke Brolish's severed head alongside messages showing ruinous battlefield embarrassment. Though overcome, remaining commanders carefully examined mysterious messages accompanying Brolish's gruesome remains. Exiled nobles quietly rejoiced Albert's downfall while plotting brutal capture throughout weakened Tiana territories. Fearing retaliation, advisors cautioned commanders about southern rebellions threatening surviving loyal martial strongholds instantly. Desperate officers readied emergency defenses while urgently distributing messages requesting reinforcements throughout surrounding regions. Furious commanders cursed Albert repeatedly, warning severe punishments against soldiers rejecting risky frontline deployments. Harshly weakened Merida rested painfully within Ashley Fortress while Albert anxiously observed beside her. Frightened about Merida's worsening condition, Albert urgently promised guarding her from approaching death entirely. Worried staff informed Albert that Frey at last discovered Merida's unknown sickness source through investigation. Frey quietly questioned Merida closely, suspecting strange physical changes connected with absent monthly cycles recently. Puzzled at first, Merida slowly recalled her absent monthly visitor. While considering Frey's odd suspicions seriously, Alicia eagerly congratulated puzzled Merida, while Albert silently realized Frey's stunning pregnancy diagnosis immediately. Overwhelmed by revelation, Merida questioned Albert again and again, while Frey quietly stated upcoming responsibilities closely. Frey instructed Albert about ceremonial offerings while readying prayers celebrating Merida's unexpected pregnancy announcement boldly. Meanwhile, Donma laughed boldly within mysterious caves, while armored soldiers readied dangerous secret operations carefully. Puzzled soldiers questioned Donma's odd mission as exploring dark tunnels carrying unknown suspicious equipment cautiously. Donma guided armored Albert within dangerous caves while awaiting coming of massive snakes patiently. Albert nervously readied himself while Donma explained deadly snakes' actions and vulnerable assault openings closely. Encountering massive serpents abruptly, Albert worried immediately while Donma confidently observed his frightened responses silently. Donma encouraged Albert relentlessly, thinking killing giant snakes would guard Merida and unborn offspring well. Resolved protecting Merida's family, Albert bravely assaulted rushing serpents, though, overwhelming dangerous underground conditions repeatedly. Albert cautiously protected himself prior to swiftly decapitating and assaulting giant serpent underground within caves. Donma lauded Albert briefly prior to warning hungry serpents smelled spilled blood instantly widely. Encircled by additional serpents, Albert questioned Donma's risky plan guarding Merida and unborn child. Donma assuredly encouraged uneasy Albert, insisting smaller serpents stayed manageable opponents during combat today. At the same time, Merida's pregnancy developed dangerously, while childbirth complications risked each mother and unborn baby. Albert bravely encouraged himself while battling massive serpents guarding Merida and their unborn offspring. Donma lauded Albert's improving combat skills while additional serpents fiercely emerged across underground tunnels. Albert urgently prayed toward Alexius prior to learning many serpents rapidly approaching surrounding cave passages. Exhausted Albert at last overcame numerous serpents, while Donma boldly recognized his impressive battlefield performance today. Feeling extremely nauseous, Albert assembled serpent heads near Donma, though intense, disgusting battlefield odors. Merida boldly lauded Albert's determination while demon tribes rejoiced their unborn child enthusiastically jointly. Across the packed hall, fighters performed energetic dances honoring Elwyn family's coming generation boldly. Meanwhile, Donma enthusiastically pictured teaching Albert's coming child strong combat techniques during peaceful years. During festivities, drunken Albert nervously pictured daughters wedding strangers. Deeply embarrassing confused Merida. Latter, each parents abandoned combat conversations entirely, selecting their child's peaceful coming above everything. Restful beside Merida, Albert gladly designed abandoning government tasks while raising their child peacefully. Surprised by empire laws, Merida realized pregnancy could free Albert from risky official obligations. Addressing Merida carefully, Albert confessed fearing loneliness while strongly valuing her health and safety. Remembering their earliest meeting, Albert acknowledged genuinely wanting lifelong happiness jointly near Merida permanently. Grinning kindly together, each parent excitedly wondered whether their coming child would become daughter or son. During festivities, muscular demon fighters competed boldly while amused spectators observed ridiculous bodybuilding contests. Known period afterward, Albert quietly reviewed fiscal reports delivered respectfully by faithful servant Melvis indoors. Meanwhile, Merida traveled toward Empire capital alongside Lies while challenging state situations slowly intensified countrywide. Within carriages, Merida gladly discussed Lisa's victories while requesting temporary replacements handling key obligations. Therefore, Melvis and Arena managed workplaces effectively while Alicia closely monitored Merida's fragile condition continually. Following Floiga family's downfall, Lee's well-restored order across chaotic Bafoost regions calmly. Meanwhile, Alexius rewarded Lies generously while elevating her fame throughout Demon Kingdom regions. Back within Ashley Castle, servants kindly greeted exhausted Merida going back from difficult political negotiations successfully. Eagerly, Merida told Albert their negotiations succeeded, granting valuable regions and coming prosperity peacefully. Jointly, Albert and Merida gladly pictured raising additional children while savoring secure, prosperous futures ahead. While examining Alexius's authorization letter, Albert abruptly discovered unexpected regional arrangements creating immediate concern. Frustrated, Albert realized Alexius gave Arcana region rather of vowed Bafoost region lands previously. Merida closely stated Arcana legally belonged under Alexa Kingdom authority, though Empire administration. Remembering historical disputes, Albert understood Arcana formally became Empire territory following Northern Kingdom overcome recently. Grinning assuredly, Merida thought conquering Arcana directly would permanently secure valuable territories for their family.
Going in one more year boldly, 17-year, old Albert readied himself for growing family responsibilities ahead. Meanwhile, Merida calmly rested indoors while carrying Albert's offspring amid early pregnancy stages closely. Although Albert captured dangerous enemies earlier, neglected governmental tasks forced draining administrative work. Additionally, Albert improved House Elwyn deeply through improved intellect networks managed by Auschwitz tribe people. Elsewhere, Luminous well-protected mountain tribes while faithfully joining Merida as believed private bodyguard. Throughout Slat region, irrigation works and standardized trade regulations steadily improved House Elwyn's trade growth. Though financial recovery, expensive martial operations forced Albert toward increasing regional levy revenues aggressively. Resolved protecting Merida and their unborn child, Albert centered deeply upon Arcana's profitable administration issues. Within Empire headquarters, powerful nobles strongly supported reducing restrictions surrounding territories under imperial authority countrywide. However, Doris von Warspan fiercely resisted proposals weakening Empire territorial command amid heated political discussions. Following deep discussions, Empire Council people at last reached agreement regarding controversial territorial governance proposals unanimously. Later within regal chambers, the Empress angrily criticized Doors for continually opposing important political changes repeatedly. Concerned about imperial security, the Empress dreaded incompetent rulers bringing suffering throughout Elancia realm. Ultimately, remembering Emperor Wagner's disastrous government, nobles recognized widespread corruption weakened Empire government power across territories. Amid Wagner's reign, repeated martial setbacks encouraged nobles and soldiers abandoning Empire loyalties everywhere rapidly. Years prior, the Empress's father attempted changes before enemies brutally assassinated each brother. Surprisingly, devastated nobles recalled massive anger spreading throughout Shugemori household following those tragic political assassinations countrywide. Amid imperial elections, Licht von Arlacht wrongly faulted the Empress for each deaths publicly. Although merely connected via wedding, Licht's accusation strongly wounded the Empress emotionally for many years. Therefore, state concessions strengthened Doors significantly, allowing his empire influence and reputation rising considerably. Knowing Arcana remained deeply reinforced, the Empress believed Merida and Albert guarding territory successfully together. Meanwhile, the Empress thought Licht von Erlacht understood qualities needed for becoming Elancia's coming leader. Because Albert married into Shugemori household, Lies freely vowed backing his territorial administration whenever necessary. Prior to departing, the Empress ordered Lies going back home immediately, while quietly assisting Albert from shadows. Later near warm fireplaces, Merida gladly asked Lies contact her pregnant stomach carefully during winter. While resting comfortably, Merida gladly felt her unborn offspring moving strongly within her stomach lately. Afterward, Albert nervously greeted candidates arriving for the key wet nurse selection interview process within headquarters. Regrettably, Albert became entirely distracted evaluating applicants because multiple ladies behaved extremely suggestively toward him. One uneasy candidate concerned, Albert disliked her appearance after learning strange comments regarding massive bunny costumes. Watching local closely, Alicia and Lies teased Albert endlessly while watching his embarrassed responses amusingly. Amid interviews, Merida openly acknowledged preferring attractive ladies with impressively large figures near Alicia, jokingly. Afterward, Merida privately informed embarrassed Berta about directly handling coming breastfeeding responsibilities herself closely. Flushing nervously, Berta acknowledged encountering unexpected difficulties, though fully understanding Merida's original intentions beforehand entirely. Meanwhile, Albert noticed Berta's uneasy address problem disappearing whenever conversation shifted toward breastfeeding issues. Surprisingly, at last, Alicia revealed quietly practiced Berta speaking politely by ending each sentence using pion humorously. Following successful interviews, Berta formally became Lice's wet nurse within Ashley Fortress shortly forever. Meanwhile, Margie Trading Company employed many rabbit beastfolk because their gentle personalities fit household services. Lately, wealthy households increasingly requested servants, causing profitable opportunities throughout expanding imperial commercial territories everywhere. Therefore, Margie Company dispatched trained rabbitfolk staff while quietly gathering valuable intellect from noble households. Amid New Year festivities, Albert boldly recognized increasing income and expanding organizational influence across Ashley territory. Within Ashley Fortress, Merida harshly criticized laborers abandoning the demon tribe's disciplined martial traditions recently. Meanwhile, uneasy officers heard closely while Albert explained administrators neglected responsibilities outside their original hometowns. Resolved, Merida requested everyone strengthen household governance and increase prosperity throughout important empire territories immediately. Soon terrified servants said sorry genuinely, while Albert declared Merida would temporarily leave duties before childbirth. At last, Merida reminded everyone their commitment protected countless families, covering their own children's coming stability. Remaining boldly, Merida encouraged exhausted laborers, promising another difficult year requiring everyone's continued loyalty and commitment. Within the mansion, Albert noticed Merida fully accepted leadership, while Alicia managed important household practice responsibilities. During the meeting, Merida instructed officers ensuring war funds while fighters sharpened weapons for coming campaigns. Surprisingly, Albert stopped discussions, insisting only himself should determine whether coming conflicts actually begin independently. Across the practice grounds, enthusiastic demon fighters organized mock fights, readying recruits for upcoming military exercises. Within Regal Chamber, Albert examined letter appointing Lady Merida Arcana region landowner formally. Shortly masked, Envoy vowed noble prizes after conquering territories and seizing noble Licht successfully. Learning conditions, Albert realized Elwyn household backed dangerous political responsibilities across volatile kingdom. Meanwhile, Lady Merida preserved territorial command while demon soldiers protected surrounding lands from opposition troops. Because of successful strategies, household reputation improved deeply, earning honored Viscount promotion ultimately. Inside Lancia realm, nobles received 11 official ranks directly gave by emperor, except royalty. Between regal houses, 4 independent households protected imperial authority while maintaining martial responsibilities. Meanwhile, 4 Grand Duke households had power strong enough to remove emperor collectively. Amid ceremony, Demon Emperor appointed Lady Merida Baroness, granting martial power during wartime situations. Study charts closely, Albert realized growing arcana would place heavier responsibilities upon Merida's influence. Assuredly, Albert vowed the regal envoy he would conquer Arcana region and capture Noble Licht successfully. Latter, Ward congratulated Albert while talking about risky schemes though uncertain regal government promises. Readying closely, Albert entered Alexa team and believed companions before traveling toward dangerous frontier territories. Within Zeral region, Albert saw the region appear deserted with few residents living local. Watching passing boats carefully, Albert realized riverside areas possessed strong promise for trade development. Study Arcana charts, Albert realized the frontline location made dangerous opportunities against enemy troops. Watching river closely, Albert discovered defensive locations could stop enemy crossings amid invasions. Elsewhere, Orgus-concerned enemy support might arrive, swiftly changing campaign battle situations. Confident soldiers thought Preston and Forte could defend tactical locations against incoming assaults. Learning that possibility, Albert understood troop supplies would strengthen battle mobility plus response speed. Prior to going in Arcana territory, Albert readied disguises carefully, while companions reviewed infiltration plans jointly. Disguised as merchants, Barid and Albert traveled cautiously as avoiding suspicious local officials crossing mountain roads. Albert realized assaulting Arcana out of Ashley region would be extremely difficult militarily. Past cliffs, isolated settlements functioned like defensive outposts guarding narrow paths toward fortress routes. Watching winding tracks, Albert questioned whether Alexa support could reach Arcana Fortress swiftly. After examining intellect, Albert developed strategies closely while planning covert missions against Arcana defenses. Traveling along cliffs, Albert discovered enemy supplies stayed vulnerable from raised assault locations above. Remaining prior to Arcana Fortress, Albert realized steep cliffs naturally protected fortress from attacking armies. Though weak guards, Albert understood, prolonged sieges would still cause severe allied losses. Elsewhere, arrogant vassals abused residents while blocking important roads across mountain passage rashly. Arrogant senior vassals insulted residents while boasting about joining Lord Licht's noble household. Frustrated residents protested about unfair taxes and incompetent outsiders, managing regional matters carelessly. Amid secret discussions, stories fueled claiming Arcana levy revenues supported the kingdom of Alexa. Listening local, Albert found hostility between foreign vassals and local residents widely. Years prior, Licht's father recruited local vassals, causing rival groups throughout Arcana territory. Although senior vassals were minorities, they held stronger state power than local administrators. Years prior, Lord Licht escaped Empire pressure and hid within Arcana Fortress under protection. Licht's betrayal made huge state chaos, departing the Demon Emperor unable to respond. Meanwhile, Elwyn household acquired victories against Alexa, while stories faulted Licht for instability. After studying disputes closely, Albert understood divisions between vassals and local groups clearly. Grinning kindly, Minas cautioned Albert while spotting his dangerous schemes against Donovan group already. Embarrassed, Minas praised Albert's commitment while Barid joked about coming grandchildren gladly. Flushing, Minas vowed support for Albert across their difficult Arcana mission jointly. Gaining Arcana settlements, Barid got greetings while residents greeted Nicholas with honor. That night, representatives asked Albert's group while readying a banquet for their coming. Amid dinner, Albert lauded Nicholas while talking about risky conditions in Arcana mountain routes. quietly introducing himself. Nicholas stated responsibility for resolving disputes between Arcana state groups. While sipping silently, Albert realized Nicholas preserved balance without upsetting retainers or locals. Throughout feast, Nicholas stayed influential because residents believed his judgment during disputes. Prior to departing, Albert gave discounted alcohol supplies, building relations with Lord Nicholas. While watching merchant setbacks, Albert realized nobles seldom believed unfamiliar traders near Lord Licht. Nicholas acknowledged managing Arcana later would provide benefits, though dangerous political complications nearby Licht. Silently sipping, Albert shaped capture plans while feeling guilty about deceiving Lord Nicholas. Amid village visits, residents explained Nicholas' planned meetings between merchants and influential officers. Residents showed poor harvests and rising food prices causing severe shortages across Arcana. Gathering information, Albert vowed delayed supplies while continuing covert missions in Arcana quietly. Rising resentment fueled between retainers because taxes increased while harvest setbacks devastated communities. Exploring borderlands, Albert found oxidized silver veins under rocky surfaces and left mines. Miners stated silver deposits near Ashley region could generate massive profits for Elwyn household. Pleased, Albert instructed Werid to strengthen Arcana relations prior to going back toward Ashley region. Prior to departing, Werid assigned soldiers while arranging escorts throughout the dangerous river crossing closely. Praising Werid, Albert rewarded Luminous since the covert mission succeeded past predictions. Amid carriage ride home, Minas nervously recalled family predictions about bearing Albert's coming child. Afterward, Minas studied Irene, Sand's romance book, as hoping to become Albert's ideal spouse. Flushing intensely, Minas practiced tearful expressions uneasily as seeking Albert's approval romantically. Following Irene, Sand's advice, Minas practiced bodily contact as Albert observed closely. Nervously flushing, Minas labored maintaining actions while attempting gentle interactions near Albert. Directing Minas, Albert demonstrated contact techniques while accidentally surprising her delicate tail. Their playful interactions continued across carriage journey, going back toward Ashley Fortress jointly. Within Alexa region, Prince Orgus ignored warnings about postponing expeditions, though rising political instability everywhere. Meanwhile, enraged advisors warned Orgus that Prince Goran's influence continued growing across strong noble groups. Consumed by ambition, Orgus requested loyal supporters while planning merciless purges after saying the Empire throne. Learning those reckless declarations, senior vassals dreaded Goran would ultimately receive overwhelming noble support. Blinded by arrogance, Orgus threatened opponents assuredly while thinking martial authority guaranteed unquestioned national command. Furious entirely, Prince Orgus rejected loyal warnings while blaming Prince Goran for political disputes everywhere. Latter, Orgus furiously summoned Licht while struggling emotionally within the increasingly volatile regal court environment. Surprisingly, Lord Zazan showed Licht already departed, leaving Orgus frustrated about losing tactical martial support. Quietly, Zazan proposed abandoning Alexa while Orgus refused spending valuable time beside weak mortal allies. Though dangerous circumstances, Orgus arrogantly insisted remaining easily while surviving safely within Alexa Kingdom borders. Quietly, Zazan warned Prince Orgus their reckless ambitions would ultimately destroy each leadership locations. Examining precise maps carefully, Orgus discovered Alexa Kingdom already endured devastating martial defeats across multiple territories. Meanwhile, Zazan showed multiple regions deceived Alexa, surrendering command directly toward advancing Imperial troops. Study river routes carefully, Orgus realized Empire armies could rapidly invade Tiana after seizing Arcana territory. Though those warnings, Orgus haughtily rejected strange Imperial strategies while underestimating Alancia Empire's dangerous tactical planning. Across southern territories, strong noble houses mobilized thousands of soldiers backing Prince Goran's rising martial campaign. Learning those reports, Orgus worried instantly while Zazan confidently predicted reinforcement routes becoming completely stopped. Meanwhile, Zazan urged strengthening Arcana defenses closely, because enemy surprise assaults risked vulnerable territories continually. Unwillingly, Orgus requested additional food supplies and rebuilt docks backing larger transport vessels going in Arcana. Thou agreeing ultimately, Orgus hesitated anxiously because extended docks might later benefit attacking Imperial armies strategically. Prior to departing, Zazan vowed readied reinforcements while recalling Orgus Arcana protected his political survival. Alone, Orgus realized abandoning operations now could entirely destroy his chances saying the Empire throne. Though frustrations, Orgus determined guarding Arcana successfully gave better political opportunities than retreating toward capital. Meanwhile, Albert came back securely toward Ashley Fortress while thanking Stefan and Lady Leia politely. Within Ashley Castle, cheerful demon sisters boldly readied comfortable clothing while excitedly dressing their beloved sibling jointly. Within Ashley Fortress, Albert closely convinced Lady Merida before accompanying Leia outside jointly. Meanwhile, cheerful sisters rested gladly jointly while readying tea and testing newly tailored comfortable clothing. Later that night, Albert thanked Stefan genuinely because Leia genuinely enjoyed visiting Ashley Fortress recently jointly. Amid quiet discussions, Stefan lauded Merida kindly while Albert promised raising coming heirs. Assuredly, Albert and Stefan discussed strengthening coming Elwyn leaders through balanced intellect and bodily abilities. Amid personal discussions, Albert requested Stefan's advice about Arcana Territory's dangerous martial situation. Meanwhile, Stefan recognized Merida lately received Arcana region, though the castle's overwhelming defensive structure. Explaining further, Albert showed Lord Lich stayed trapped within Arcana Castle, while bandits assaulted merchant caravans. After learning everything closely, Stefan questioned Albert directly about possible strategies conquering deeply reinforced Arcana Castle. Grinning quietly, Stefan admitted visiting Ashley partly involved judging Albert's intellect and tactical planning abilities. Assuredly, Albert stated the Elwyn family would assault Arcana, though overwhelming enemy defensive advantages everywhere. Although surprised at first, Stefan realized Albert already readied precise strategies conquering Arcana's strong fortress successfully. Closely unfolding papers, Albert showed Arcana vassal information while explaining their split political allegiances. According to Albert's investigation, local nobles quietly supported empire groups rather of Alexa Kingdom leadership. Impressed, Stefan lauded Albert's intelligence network, while recognizing rising devotion toward Elancia realm throughout Arcana. Quietly, Albert explained schemes convincing Arcana's local retainers into supporting Elancia realm rule strategically completely. Meanwhile, Albert requested Stefan's help guaranteeing land ownership prizes for defecting Arcana vassals successfully jointly. Additionally, Albert suggested blockading Arcana rivers entirely while preventing supply transportation throughout surrounding territories fully. According to Albert's inquiry, Arcana stored emergency food supplies because earlier harvests and conflicts devastated manufacturing. Learning those schemes, Stefan authorized deploying disguised troops while readying starvation tactics against Arcana defenders strategically. Following Albert's strategy, Stefan instructed river blockades while pursuing Arcana vassals opposing Empire interests. Assuredly, Stefan thought prolonged blockades would weaken Arcana troops and destabilize hostile noble groups gradually. Prior to departing, Stefan entrusted Albert with guarding Lady Leia while traveling toward the Empire capital tomorrow. Meanwhile, Albert vowed the Elwyn household would assume complete responsibility, escorting Lady Leia securely widely. Multiple days later, emotional demon sisters desperately pleaded Leia repeatedly to postpone departing Ashley Fortress. Grinning boldly, Merida explained guarding her husband's household stayed an important wife's responsibility. Meanwhile, Albert teased Merida softly while she protested emotionally about departing dear sisters behind. Patiently, Albert vowed coming household visits, urging Merida to endure separation from relatives. Prior to departing gladly, Leia lauded Albert and Merida kindly while entrusting her sister's happiness, traveling enthusiastically toward Farv's domain. Leia vowed visiting Ashley Fortress again after Merida's child ultimately arrived. Multiple weeks later, Belieria family troops successfully stopped Arcana's rivers, creating widespread peaceful anxiety everywhere. Meanwhile, Stefan's state influence locked Empire protection, encouraging Arcana vassals abandoning Alexa loyalties. Within Arcana Fortress, terrified officers urgently requested reports regarding worsening territorial food shortages across surrounding settlements. Amid emergency meetings, commanders realized surviving food supplies would barely sustain Arcana troops multiple additional months. Blaming Lord Lich furiously, senior vassals admitted Empire blockades completely disrupted their original invasion arrangements. Within Arcana Fortress, commanders urgently instructed messages warning Prince Orgus about worsening battle conditions. Meanwhile, vassals dreaded Arcana's collapse would expose Tiana region toward devastating Empire invasion soon. Though supply shortages, Arcana officers still thought Prince Orgus could ultimately restore defensive transportation routes. Amid tense meetings, commanders ordered firm food conservation while desperately attempting preserving surviving martial supplies. Questioned directly, Nicholas acknowledged conserving limited provisions single-handedly would never save Arcana out of collapse. Within Arcana Fortress, Nicolas showed secret merchants well-bypassed river blockades delivering emergency food supplies. At the same time, commanders argued fiercely about depending fully upon Donovan merchants while awaiting Tiana support. Exhausted completely, Nicholas pleaded Prince Orgus quietly while warning panic would destroy surviving martial morale. Multiple months later, Ashley Fortress administrators informed Albert about newly chose Rabbit folk servant recruitment candidates formally. Examining employment documents closely, Albert found out the first recruitment batch included 30 household laborers altogether. Ashley region merchants submitted 3 employment requests while Albert monitored rising commercial demand closely throughout missions. Albert observed Ashley's thriving trade economy growing steadily while rich people increased market activity considerably lately. Luminous trained Rabbit folk maids quietly while developing intellect networks disguised under ordinary housekeeping tasks throughout Ashley territory. Albert instructed officials, prioritizing intellect secrecy, whistleblower safety, and fair treatment toward newly recruited laborers. Amid one more meeting, administrators suggested hiring additional retainers because Ashley territory operations extended rapidly recently. Lies informed Albert that one more applicant arrived, requesting approval to participate inside Ashley territory missions. The thankful applicant respectfully promised devotion toward Albert, giving dedicated service after receiving life-saving assistance. Albert questioned Miller closely, remembering his executed father once protected remnants connected towards heroic groups. During Lisa's operation, Miller exposed corrupt officers while guarding blameless residents from reckless military schemes. Examining Miller's abilities, Albert recognized impressive leadership promise, though limited defensive combat experience previously recorded. Although admiring Miller's skills deeply, Albert dreaded consequences surrounding his shamed family history politically. Bound by Elwyn household devotion, Albert ultimately refused employing traitors' relatives inside official territorial locations. Feeling hopeless, Miller readied departing silently until Albert explained one more path toward redemption existed, through faithful service near Lee's. Albert vowed Miller coming recognition from Elwyn family leadership. Surprised by their generosity, Miller allowed gratefully while Lees authorized Albert's unexpected employment idea. Overwhelmed alongside gratitude, Miller swore lifelong devotion towards Albert and Lies for rescuing his coming. Recognizing Miller's skills, Lies assigned temporary command responsibilities, supervising martial practice throughout SLAT territory missions. Following Bafus missions, soldiers lauded Miller's command abilities while agreeing his official appointment. Assuredly, Miller promised strengthening SLAT troops while Lies protected him from promised critique personally. Meanwhile, Albert and Lies discussed Miller's skills improving Demon Tribe martial confidence considerably across regions. Shortly, Albert got reports confirming successful embankment construction near rivers connecting important local settlements. Recognizing outstanding accomplishments, Albert promoted Raynor formally while granting region rights backing agricultural village expansion. Albert questioned surviving construction funds, while residents stated Elwyn's support covered each necessary operational expense. Surprised deeply, Albert found out unused budgets remained because laborers evaded corruption throughout rebuilding operations. Meanwhile, Demon Tribe laborers effectively lowered project expenses while assisting rebuilding efforts throughout villages. Additionally, Imperial captives worked freely beside residents, causing one more major source reducing overall construction costs. Satisfied, Albert authorized residents' request while receiving mysterious stones presented amid their meeting. Raymore showed Albert unknown silver ore discovered inside unexplored mining areas nearby Arcana territory. Regrettably, Ashley region lacked skilled prospectors, creating excavation projects to progress slowly throughout missions. Albert proposed hiring independent eccentric miners because noble households managed professional prospectors inside territories. Excited, instantly Raymore admitted skilled miners frequently abandoned employers though, possessing excavation skills. Curiously, Albert questioned costly contract fees prior to Raymore stated miners preferred digging work exclusively. Raymore explained unemployed miners requested firm safety measures because earlier employers continually mistreated them badly. Albert designed constructing mountain roads connecting Slat region with Goshudo village employing miners. Trusting Raymore entirely, Albert planned private meetings prior to officially inviting eccentric miners toward Ashley territory. Multiple days later, Albert rested peacefully alone while preparing coming projects within Ashley territory. Meanwhile, Marita questioned Albert's odd invention while Raynor tested strong arms resembling massive metal sticks. Demon fighters readied carefully while Albert presented strange firearms against armored scarecrow targets during testing. Raynor showed complicated matchlock rifle procedures while Albert stated revolutionary battle advantages. Merida rebuked firearms deeply because reloading demanded tedious steps amid dangerous combat situations. Additionally, demon fighters argued matchcord rifles failed entirely amid rainstorms and nighttime raids. Neglecting complaints quietly, Albert lauded demon weaponry prior to Raynor successfully fired powerful matchlock rifles accurately. Albert boldly tested guns while demon fighters rebuked excessive smoke, noise, and dangerous battlefield exposure. Merida ridiculed Albert's invention because slow projectiles enabled also inexperienced demon offspring effortless dodging, neglecting warnings entirely. Albert ordered Raynor approaching targets carefully prior to demonstrating improved firearm accuracy. Disappointed deeply, Merida explained cavalry assaults readily overwhelmed soldiers reloading inaccurate firearms during fights. Frustrated deeply, Albert increased firing distance while Merida stated ordinary rocks cause stronger battle damage. Preston tested demon fighters directly, asking firearm demonstrations against experienced fighters amid battlefield simulations. Neglecting Albert's desperate warnings, Raynor fired matchlock rifles while Preston charged boldly via smoke. Effortlessly, Preston sliced nearby bullets apart, showing demon fighters possessed intense combat superiority naturally. Chuckling assuredly, Preston declared firearms completely useless because enemies readily dodged projectiles during fights. Grinning boldly, Merida supported Preston's severe critique, while Albert displayed disappointed expressions silently publicly. Merida stunned Albert entirely by effortlessly slicing bullets apart amid dangerous firearm demonstration practice exercises. Chuckling assuredly, Merida stated ordinary demon soldiers could readily perform identical combat techniques naturally. Soon, demon vassals enthusiastically started brutal bullet-slicing competitions showing overwhelming bodily abilities openly. Afterward, Albert made coordinated rifle formations, though demon fighters still neared enemy shooters unharmed successfully. At last, Preston acknowledged guns entertained demon tribes temporarily, but stayed unsuitable for actual battlefield combat. Agreeing critique calmly, Albert decided firearms suited peasant conscripts, defending elevated fortified locations efficiently. Meanwhile, Merida stated guns demanded minimal practice, compared against swords or traditional bows. Additionally, Merida proposed attaching melee blades onto rifles, improving battle versatility against nearby enemies. Pleased deeply, Albert instantly designed deploying improved firearms during Arcana Castle defensive operations strategically. Abruptly, Stefan received urgent reinforcement requests while suspecting dangerous ambushes surrounding northern martial actions next. Concerned continually, Lord Lich dreaded Arcana collapsing completely, unless immediate martial action succeeded soon. Meanwhile, Stefan warned suspicious stories proposed how Selwyn quietly designed invading vulnerable Tiana territory aggressively. Enraged intensely, Stefan suspected Albert already readied schemes controlling surrounding nations against Arcana strategically beforehand. Resolved stubbornly, Lord Licht insisted advancing continuously because Arcana's hungry defenders ultimately would surrender entirely. Unwillingly, Stefan allowed combined Imperial troops marching jointly once rear territories became completely secured safely. Prince Stefan unwillingly allowed Lord Licht's desperate proposal, readying Arcana's exhausted vanguard troops immediately. However, Stefan stayed suspicious, fearing secret Empire traps surrounding Arcana's weakening defensive locations tonight. Desperate commanders requested messengers convince Prince Orgus, delaying support until Arcana's soldiers rearranged correctly. Meanwhile, Stefan quietly prioritized preserving his regal goals alongside remaining Arcana's dangerous collapsing campaign. Albert discovered Arcana residents received drastically lowered supplies because dishonest vassals seized surviving food. Stating nervously, Albert showed selfish nobles left local residents while quietly hoarding confiscated provisions. Horrified instantly, Mr. Beretti realized influential locals intentionally sacrificed hungry people guarding themselves completely. Although injured earlier, Mr. Beretti suppressed frustration while Albert said sorry unsuccessfully about risky tensions. At last, enraged residents rallied behind Mr. Beretti demanding retaliation against exploitative local nobles instantly. Albert urgently ordered messengers calming enraged residents, prior to Arcana's worsening food disputes triggered brutality completely. Meanwhile, Albert silently recognized Arcana's severe shortages while quietly controlling tensions between desperate local vassals. Baridi saw rival groups cooperating temporarily because Albert reallocated supplies fairly between struggling Arcana residents. Exhausted continually, Lord Nicholas labored maintaining fragile calm between conflicting Erlak backers throughout Arcana territory. At last, Albert suspended trading missions entirely while readying intelligence networks supporting Arcana's dangerous coming strategies. Albert quietly transferred trading assets closely, preventing investigators tracing contacts toward House Elwyn. Well, assuredly, Albert instructed believed followers delivering fabricated messages directly toward influential senior faction leaders. Meanwhile, Albert rested briefly near Merida while patiently anticipating Lord Licht's desperate coming choices. 3 days afterward, suspicious commanders urgently summoned Lord Licht within Arcana Fortress regarding discovered proof. Stunned instantly, Stefan realized investigators uncovered Albert's forged correspondence quietly controlling Arcana's fragile political situation. Furious completely, Lord Licht executed treacherous officers publicly while frightened commanders observed silently fearfully. At the same time, Albert quietly rejoiced Lord Licht's outburst, knowing Nicholas would distrust surrounding retainers increasingly. Arcana's worsening shortages and executions slowly intensified resentment between struggling vassals backing Nicholas desperately. Afterward, Albert neared Baridi peacefully requesting entrance while suspicious residents recognized Donovan trading instantly. Therefore, local residents permitted Albert's group going in Nicholas's estate amid escalating state unrest cautiously. Baridi rejected worried residents politely prior to privately welcoming Albert and discussing Arcana's worsening shortages. Within Baridi's residence, Albert questioned desperate food conditions while closely watching exhausted local retainers quietly. Baridi acknowledged Arcana's severe blockades stopped meaningful relief efforts, though increasing starvation across territories lately. Learning executions and unrest reports, Albert understood Arcana's command slowly losing public trust widely rapidly. Quietly, Albert readied suggesting risky solutions, hoping Baridi would support his secret political objectives. Albert suggested alliances closely, hoping Baridi allowed collaboration with House Elwyn during Arcana's instability. Though hesitation, Baridi stubbornly refused Albert's proposal because devotion toward Erlak stayed unshaken completely. Quietly, Albert exposed Lord Licht's betrayals while criticizing Arcana's collapsing command and cruel executions openly. Enraged emotionally, Baridi requested Albert's identity after realizing secret motives behind suspicious negotiations entirely. Grinning assuredly, Albert showed himself boldly while explaining Lord Licht remained Elwyn's actual political target. Elwyn representatives stated Stefan ignored warnings though. Arcana residents already suffering severe starvation from blockades. Resolved firmly, Albert revealed merchants quietly delivered supplies because blameless Arcana citizens demanded immediate assistance. Baridi at last understood Elwyn's intentions after Albert presented Empire documents guarding Arcana territories and residents. Rejecting collaboration stubbornly, Baridi protected Erlak loyalties while Albert requested surrender prior to unnecessary bloodshed continued. Quietly departing, Albert cautioned Baridi that Elwyn armies would invade Arcana unless surrender happened shortly. Albert pressured Nicholas closely, recalling him Arcana's survival relied entirely upon local retainers maintaining cooperation. Traveling calmly, Albert acknowledged his true objective involved directly meeting Nicholas amid ongoing negotiations. Lies explained believed retainers would suspect Nicholas deceived Arcana once negotiations with enemies became openly known. Multiple days later, Albert boldly recognized Stefan's reckless hostility deeply assisted Elwyn's complicated manipulation strategies. Within Arcana Fortress, enraged vassals realized local vassals mysteriously abandoned important emergency meetings without explanations. Arcana vassals discovered absent retainers abandoned responsibilities while food shortages endangered starving residents everywhere. Frustrated deeply, Orgus questioned absent reinforcements while advisors stated retainers ignored. Fortress summons repeatedly. Readying contingencies closely, Orgus requested House Warspan shelter survivors whenever Arcana regions collapsed entirely. At the same time, Warspan nobles quietly refused Orgus asylum requests because state tensions already damaged relationships. Lord Licht distributed surviving fortress food exclusively toward faithful villages, increasing admiration throughout Arcana. Licht quietly received alarming messages describing traitorous vassals supporting Stefan's assaults against Arcana territories. Reading closely, Licht discovered senior vassals quietly cooperated with enemies while spreading risky misinformation everywhere. Furious entirely, Licht summoned suspicious vassals immediately and ordered brutal punishment against each identified traitor. Shortly, one more uneasy senior vassal came requesting discussions regarding worsening food supply conditions privately. Without hesitation, Licht executed trembling retainers openly after uncovering their betrayal against Arcana's desperate command. Licht risked disloyal vassals harshly while anxiously awaiting support from House Warspan's nearby armies. Late amid Emerald period, mysterious intruders abruptly infiltrated Ashley Fortress under Arcana's weakened nighttime security. Within hallways, Lies effortlessly overcame hostile infiltrators before suspicious survivors attempted fleeing through dangerous passageways. Seized intruders collapsed swiftly after Lisa's assaults, allowing Albert's troops immediate interrogation opportunities. Albert discovered captive assassins placed silent catfolk ladies rejecting reveal employers behind infiltration missions. Albert ordered Luminous interrogate seized catfolk assassin using dangerous aphrodisiac oils amid personal asking about sessions. Overwhelmed slowly, captive catfolk woman acknowledged only Albert could satisfy her body's strange dependence entirely. Ultimately surrendering mentally, terrified assassin showed Warspan family quietly hired disguised merchant spies throughout Arcana. Thou learning confessions closely, Albert refused immediate trust because interrogated information lacked assuring evidence entirely. Luminous promised assistance compassionately, encouraging vulnerable assassins showing devotion prior to receiving liberty and continued treatment. Albert, convinced, seized assassin dismantling enemy organizations closely would ultimately grant her desired liberty completely. Later, Lee stated numerous spies seized lately, while Albert readied stronger countermeasures protecting Arcana territories. News about Alexa Kingdom's bounty forced Albert to strengthen protection nearby his rising missions instantly. Barid cautioned that Albert's Demon Tamer nickname attracted increasing hostility from risky enemies throughout regions. Cheering soldiers lauded Albert's unmatched leadership, while demon tribe fighters boldly praised his battlefield achievements, ashamed by ridiculous heroic titles. Albert laughed nervously while listening to exaggerated praises out of allies. Secret disguises were distributed among believed spies, readying covert missions against enemies pursuing Albert continually. Disguised body doubles were readied closely, helping Albert prevent rising assassination threats across Arcana territory. Meanwhile, Luminous showed Lord Licht executed colluding vassals, spreading fear and distrust within Arcana Fortress. Using Stefan's reckless schemes, cooperating vassals quietly designed opening Arcana castle gates for Albert's troops. Amid investigations, Barid discovered multiple House Urlocked vassals, preserved suspicious contact with important Arcana nobles. Pleased with arrangements, Demon Tribe fighters awaited orders eliminating traitors instantly following completed infiltration missions. Albert allowed becoming Arcana's villain, thinking coming calm justified his ruthless actions and sacrifices. Multiple months later, Nicholas awaited Albert's coming within the struggling local vassal village headquarters patiently. Barid stated Lord Licht's paranoia worsened starvation while vassals continually fought each other throughout Arcana region, resolved to restore security. Albert insisted only Nicholas possessed influence competent of calming frightened citizens. Addressing desperate circumstances, Nicholas paused while Albert pleaded collaboration preventing Arcana territory's complete destruction and collapse. Albert stated Arcana region would face invasion unless Nicholas cooperated with House Elwyn instantly. Nicholas listened quietly while Albert promised guarding his devotion and reputation amid Arcana's inevitable occupation period. Desperate to save Arcana people, Nicholas labored emotionally prior to at last, considering Albert's dangerous proposal seriously today. Agreeing Albert's conditions, Nicholas consented supporting House Elwyn for Arcana territory's coming survival and security. Precise invasion charts impressed local vassals, though many dreaded consequences following Arcana territory's eventual occupation later. Assembled vassals examined Elwyn's precise Arcana maps, realizing Albert readied invasion plans carefully beforehand. Quietly speaking to everyone present, Albert explained arrangements surrounding Arcana territory's upcoming planned martial conflict operations. Beginning next period, combined Elwyn and Alco commoner armies designed attacking Arcana territory together strategically. Residents would resist symbolically prior to yielding peacefully once Elwyn troops raised predetermined red warning flags. Seized village leaders guaranteed food deliveries, securing Arcana citizens survived though. Ongoing territorial occupation operations. Albert ordered Ashley territory troops surviving secret until Arcana operations completed successfully without interference, completely. Worried vassals questioned whether Arcana people would persist receiving food supplies following eventual surrender negotiations. Grinning assuredly, Albert promised advancing Elwyn armies would prevent unnecessary casualties while ensuring important personnel safely. Nicholas cautioned senior retainers controlled tactical arcana locations, making resistance against demon tribe troops extremely dangerous. Studying arcana charts closely, Albert designed deploying demon tribe fighters beside castle routes, attracting immediate attention. Excited vassals lauded Albert's strategy, thinking Lord Licht's panic would weaken Arcana fortress defenses significantly. Confident discussions continued while vassals predicted starving Arcana troops ultimately surrendering without prolonged resistance fights. Cheering residents rejoiced Albert successfully assuring Nicholas and other important Locke retainers supporting Elwyn quietly. At the same time, Albert instructed village leaders maintaining constant communication whenever shortages risked Arcana people amid invasion. Nicholas agreed staging resistance closely prior to surrendering openly, preventing Lord Licht from suspecting secret alliances early. Arcana region talks concluded well, allowing Albert's invasion arrangements advancing smoothly without unexpected complications. Going back home exhausted, Albert encountered Lady Merida furiously demanding permission, entering upcoming martial operations immediately. Luminous protested Alicia refused surviving securely behind, though nearing childbirth during Arcana Territory's dangerous invasion campaign. Grinning playfully, Albert teased unborn offspring, probably disliking noisy battlefields and dangerous martial disputes already. Flushing furiously, Alicia stubbornly insisted childbirth would never prevent her supporting Albert amid coming fights. Albert firmly refused, allowing Alicia participate directly amid dangerous fights, threatening Arcana Territory's volatile coming situation. Frustrated deeply, Alicia protested endlessly because Albert kept rejecting her long-awaited battle participation requests repeatedly. Abruptly, Albert risked informing Lady Lala about Alicia's reckless conduct and irresponsible battlefield ambitions. Ashamed, Alicia acknowledged childbirth stopped fighting while Albert soothed their unborn child lovingly. Learning Albert's reassurance closely, Alicia concerned demon tribe soldiers might ultimately approach their peaceful family home. Merida boldly stated her noble Shugmori lineage while talking about coming responsibilities for their unborn child. Meanwhile, Albert wished their child matured peacefully, unlike Merida's forceful combat skills upbringing experiences. Remembering childhood practice harshly, Merida protected battlefield education traditions, though Albert strongly opposing dangerous methods entirely. Grinning quietly, Albert evaded further arguments because Merida's stubborn character already exhausted their peaceful discussion. Enraged abruptly, Merida requested authority over parenting choices before affectionately requesting Albert carry her upstairs. Berta closely readied Merida's room while Albert lauded everyone supporting her peaceful pregnancy amid difficult months. Abruptly, Merida realized childbirth started prior than expected, creating Albert immediate confusion and grave concern everywhere. Frightened deeply, Albert at last witnessed Merida's painful contractions while Berta nervously observed beside them. Reacting swiftly, Albert instructed Berta finding the midwife, while Merida screamed painfully throughout their bedroom again and again. Holding Merida's trembling hands firmly, Albert encouraged her quietly until the midwife at last came. Outside nervously, Albert worried continually while Merida endured exhausting work throughout several painful hours with intriguing, reassuring Albert softly. Merida's relatives stated childbirth difficulties while encouraging patience amid stressful waiting times. Though comforting words local, Albert dreaded Merida endured terribly because her delicate personality worried him. Abruptly, everyone declared Merida successfully delivered securely, while Albert celebrated emotionally beside relieved family people. Closely holding newborn son boldly, Albert promised guarding Merida's child faithfully throughout his entire coming life. Relieved deeply, Albert entered retaking Merida while she compared childbirth pain against brutal battlefield experiences earlier. Chuckling softly, Merida faulted Albert's noisy panic outside, as appreciating his sincere concern for their safety. Boldly grinning local, Merida praised their newborn son while Albert happily accepted her affectionate compliments kindly. Closely holding infant son, Albert boldly presented Aureus von Elwyn as their child's official aristocratic name. Surprisingly, arriving afterward, Alexis allowed ridiculed Aureus's heroic name while joking Albert copied famous war legends. Softly comforting Merida, Albert vowed everyone would guard newborn Aureus while she recovered calmly. Resting gladly, Merida appreciated Albert's kindness while Aureus got affection from their believed allies. Meanwhile, Albert reflected boldly upon becoming Aureus's father amid Arcana Territory's increasingly volatile political situation lately. Far away, Lord Licht furiously received desperate requests asking immediate reinforcements for struggling Arcana region troops. Abruptly, one more report revealed Lord Zazen ignored Arcana completely, creating Lord Licht enraged frustration and panic. Enraged over betrayal, Albert discovered Zazen's unauthorized assault disrupted Corsus leadership and martial security. Resolved to restore command, he instructed immediate arrangements for marching directly toward Arcana territory. Meanwhile, Corsus officers hurried arranging troops, provisions, and plans prior to conflict rapidly intensified further. Confidently agreeing responsibility, the young leader readied personally guiding commanders struggling preserve national unity completely. Addressing possible penalty. Albert still seized army command, preventing Arcana exploiting Corsus' internal disorder. Well, anxiously reconsidering everything, Albert dreaded impulsive choices would permanently destroy Corsus martial discipline entirely. Consumed by rage overnight, he brutally trained alone, blaming secret conspirators controlling recent dangerous disputes. Prior to sunrise, 40,000 soldiers advanced from Tiana, while stories fueled across Corsus noble territories. Days later, Albert reached Zazen's riverside encampment, instantly asking about his reckless unauthorized martial actions directly. Furiously confronting Zazen, Albert blamed him creating Tiana's abandonment and warning Corsus' security through ambition. Quietly enduring threats, Zazen explained Stefan discovered troop movements, making abrupt tactical adjustments throughout campaigns. Across the river, soldiers readied ensuring supply routes while guarding Corsus camps from unexpected enemy assaults. Prince Orgus discussed Arcana's stronghold defenses closely, hoping prolonged combat ultimately exhausted Urlach family resistance entirely. Although opportunities appeared favorable, Albert concerned abandoning Tiana forever would damage Corsus' state influence harshly. At last agreeing Zazen's dangerous proposal, Albert warned defeat would cost lives and destroy surviving military trust. While crossing Zazu River, Zazen's landing party awaited supplies arriving securely towards their temporary encampment. Abruptly, huge fires erupted near construction sites, destroying boats and throwing soldiers into complete panic instantly. Learning chaotic reports, Prince Orgus furiously requested explanations while guarding critical river operations from collapsing entirely. Elsewhere, secret attackers ambushed supply routes, preventing provisions gaining Albert's weary frontline troops successfully. Following repeated mysterious incidents, Orgus at last completed arrangements prior to launching long-awaited martial advances toward Arcana. Amid Pearl's sixth period, Marida labored calming baby Arius, crying endlessly throughout the Empire residence. Concerned about hunger, Marida requested Berta's help while anxiously asking about her ability raising Arius correctly. Thankfully, Berta soothed Arius softly, assuring Marida the child would grow healthy and exceptionally strong. Watching boldly local, Albert thought Arius inherited strong demon blood capable surpassing ordinary mortal limitations someday. Grinning kindly, Albert anticipated Arius's coming growth while pledging becoming stronger alongside his beloved son. While readying for war, Merida showed Lise would shortly bear Albert one more important child. Softly contact her stomach. Lise allowed responsibility carrying Alco family's coming heir safely through dangerous conflicts. Motivated by Arius, she admitted wanting Albert's child too, hoping strengthen their rising household jointly permanently, sleeping peacefully. Little Arius recalled to everyone stronger households created stronger happiness throughout Empire household life. Understanding her feelings entirely, Albert consented multiple siblings would bring warmth, security, and lasting joy widely. Cheerfully backing Lise, Merida encouraged her efforts while Albert readied departing alongside authorized concubines soon. Remembering abruptly, Marida asked Albert informing Demon King correctly about Arius's successful birth lately prior to departure. While guarding the stronghold, Marida excitedly designed teaching Arius becoming stronger than his older siblings ultimately. Learning dangerous ideas, Albert worried instantly as Merida considered, including Demon King directly with Arius. Meanwhile, sleeping calmly, Arius unknowingly attracted overwhelming affection, competent changing important relationships throughout Empire household circles. Worried about safety, Albert cautioned Merida never inviting Demon King while he stayed absent from residence, assuredly explaining coming schemes. Albert promised personally introducing Arius after conquering Arcana's surviving territories completely. Agreeing thoughtfully, Merida acknowledged requesting immediate visits out of Demon King might create needless complications temporarily. Shortly, Merida appointed Lise commanding Arcana invasion troops, demanding flawless victories throughout each seized territory. Agreeing boldly, Lise vowed crushing Arcana fully while Albert received command over specialized assault missions. Giving important responsibilities, Merida ordered Albert seizing Licht von Arlacht near Lise amid upcoming invasions. Boldly wearing disguises, Albert vowed using intellect and deception securing Licht's unavoidable capture without resistance whatsoever. Readying closely beforehand, Albert created body doubles guarding himself while continuing dangerous battlefield missions successfully everywhere. Examining disguises carefully, Merida acknowledged identical appearances, failed copying Albert's unique scent and natural presence entirely. Chuckling confidently, Merida decided placing disguised doubles within Albert's office during lengthy martial operations ahead. Smiling playfully, Merida claimed Albert possessed unusually sweet aromas detectable, also among trusted companions. Guarding his strategy quietly, Albert explained female body doubles stopped enemies uncovering suspicious differences during absences. Entrusting fortress protection fully, Merida vowed safeguarding Arius while Albert readied marching toward brutal battlefields soon. Within Elwyn's command tent, Albert assembled commanders jointly prior to officially beginning urgent wartime strategy discussions immediately. Facing limited time closely, Albert cautioned everyone Arcana's approaching harvest season requested swift martial victories without delay. Guiding war arrangements closely, Albert created special assault troops alongside Preston and ambitious demon commanders. Following tactical routes, Elwyn troops advanced toward Zazu while coordinating actions near allied kingdom armies. Well near Arcana's frontier, Preston constructed defensive checkpoints blocking enemy reinforcements occupying key regions across Zazu. Firmly warning Preston, Albert requested absolute defense order preventing single enemy soldiers crossing guarded locations alive. Chuckling assuredly, Preston vowed slaughtering intruders while guarding checkpoints until Albert issued further commands. Guiding war arrangements closely, Albert created special assault troops alongside Preston and ambitious demon commanders. Following tactical routes, Elwyn troops advanced toward Zazu while coordinating actions near allied kingdom armies. Near Arcana's frontier, Preston constructed defensive checkpoints blocking enemy reinforcements occupying key regions across Zazu. Firmly warning Preston, Albert requested absolute defense order preventing single enemy soldiers crossing guarded locations alive. Chuckling assuredly, Preston vowed slaughtering intruders while guarding checkpoints until Albert issued further commands. Arguing continually, Preston and his vice, Captain disagreed over guarding checkpoints or pursuing enemy soldiers fiercely. Rising increasingly worried, Albert assigned Warid supporting reckless commanders before arranging Arcana invasion troops carefully. Meanwhile, Commander Lies got 500 soldiers, covering militia fighters and experienced slat fighters simultaneously jointly. Crossing Elfin River closely, Allied escorts distributed supplies while evacuating residents toward protected martial camps securely. Assuredly agreeing responsibilities, Lies promised smooth operations, while Miller promised supporting each battlefield objective completely. Grinning assuredly, Lies assured everyone Miller's coordination would prevent unexpected disasters amid upcoming fights successfully. After residents evacuated securely, demon troops readied surrounding Arcana Castle and capturing Licht von Erlocht immediately. Learning final instructions closely, Allied commanders organized troops prior to advancing toward Arcana territory jointly simultaneously. Raising fists eagerly, soldiers responded boldly while morale across Albert's invasion army increased dramatically prior to departure. Before operations continued, Albert greeted Lord Albert Fran, whose experience deeply strengthened Elwyn military expedition arrangements. Fran supported Elwyn troops deeply by supplying unused Ashley Castle provisions during expanding martial operations successfully. Meanwhile, Melvis organized store facilities effectively, transforming unwanted supplies into valuable wartime fiscal supplies. Recognizing Fran's devotion closely, Albert formally appointed him supporting Elwyn armies throughout Arcana invasion missions.